Hello, everybody, and welcome to non-effort. We're doing non-effort this week. Now, of course, those of you that were expecting Don't Die are disappointed for two reasons. One, no Don't Die. Two, no PB. Just stuck with us. The two ugliest core GMs, and by far the most attractive GM on the channel of all time, Mythematic. He is our guest for this week. The other one, PB, high, off her tits, absolutely on the moon right now, on painkillers and muscle relaxants and who knows what else. She has, of course, horribly relapsed, and we wish her all the best. Kidding. She injured herself, and she has. She tried. She was like, "Oh, I'm good to GM," and I was like, "No, you ain't. You're dying. She's dying. She is fucked up. She is. She's. I don't exactly know what she's done, but she's pulled.
Sometimes that's better.
What if you're not dying?
Yeah. Just way like fucked up on painkillers and just way better for DMing.
Yeah.
Right? Is that what we're doing here?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't know because I'm not allowed.
On top of that, Brad is also fucking beyond exhausted,
Dude, I'm so tired.
mentally and physically. I
I
had to sub him in yesterday to help with main character. And what was extra hilarious was, you know, my internet's been really unstable lately. I think it's a combination of all different kinds of shit. And I think they've been doing a lot of work on the lines in the area in general. And Brad subbed in to help, and my connection was rock solid yesterday. I could have easily done it myself. Like I was saying before we started, just like, dude, I bet it's going to be fine today because you came in. And he's like, do you want to do it? And I was like, I would love to, bro. I would love to do it. Important episode yesterday. I didn't want to take the risk. I feel horrible about it. And now he's PB. Don't let Brad fool you. You know, PB was like, Brad, I need help.
Oh, dude, you know what?
No,
you know
kidding.
for a fact she would never.
She could never do that.
She's messed up. So everyone send love and well wishes to PB. I'm sure hopefully she'll be better by Sunday for Deathless. I don't think that there's any way we could stop her from GMing Deathless anyway. I think she'll probably drag herself in torpor to the computer to run it. But obviously stand by, you never know. Obviously she's going to have to see how she feels on Sunday. But as it is, she is not feeling great at all. So we thought that the best thing, I said to her last night, look, why don't we just do a non-effort? There's nothing, we literally set this up for almost exactly this. This is for when none of us are GMing, but we do need to show up for work on a Friday and beg. So we're here to beg, as we always do on a Friday, for your support monetarily, which you can do by tipping. You'll see that and this is how non-effort works if you haven't been here, Myth, we're going to get to you in a minute. You're not here yet, just pretend you're not here yet. I haven't introduced you yet. Over here is a bar with topics that you can unlock with money. Every time we hit one of these topics, we won't immediately change the subject necessarily, but we will then switch and talk about that subject. Normally it's me, PB, and Whack talking about it, but we decided this week, and you'll be very surprised when they appear on the screen. You're not going to guess who it is. I said to Myth last night, hey, are you busy tomorrow? Because it would be good to have a guest GM talk with me and Whack about random GM things. And what better GM to have than the GM of Spellwind? It's Mythematic, everyone.
Wait, isn't that Retrosphere?
I don't know. They look exactly the same.
That's right.
Myth is here. Myth, of course, is the GM on Tablestory of Spellwind, which was a show that he ran for me and PB and Whack, and then we also were introduced, weirdly enough, to our very good friend Maya through that show. But Myth a few years ago said, look, you guys never get to play in a game together, which is kind of ironic because now me, PB and Whack are always in a game together every Friday.
Yep.
But we never get like run
welcome.
through a game together. And so Myth said, let me run you through a game of D&D. And he did. He ran us through Spellwind. It was amazing. I love that show, by the way. I'm getting a tattoo, by the way. It was booked and now it's not booked. I'm getting my Entente tattoo soon.
Forgot about that.
I'm getting 3 tattoos in one day.
Wow.
I'm getting a little Entente E here, which I'm very scared about because I don't want to get a tattoo on my wrist. So I want you to know that
because they're gonna hit an artery and you're gonna bleed black blood.
Absolutely petrified
and
of it.
die. Yep.
And it's gonna be very small, but it is still scary. Small and scary.
Just like mine.
So yeah, Myth is here. Myth is here to help us answer some of the
It's me.
questions and topics from chat. First things first, we need to fill the blank question. There's a question thing on there that says chat question. Really, it's a topic. So if you want to suggest some topics, have we got a PP in here? We have PP. Piranha Plant is there.
Is there a PP in the house?
Is there a PP in the house? If you have a topic or an idea of something that you might be interested in hearing us talk about, it could be anything. To do with GMing, to do with Tablestory, to do with the industry, to do with Mythematic. It doesn't even have to be about D&D or TTRPGs, to be honest. It can just be, what do you want to hear us three talk about? Which is a bit of a wide open thing. But especially today, since I'm incredibly underprepared for this. Cobbled this together. All the old links didn't work. Had to redo everything. I don't know why. I think because we switched them out for Don't Die. And then I was like,
because I'm here and every time I show up, production goes out the window.
Absolute production, technical chaos.
I don't know what it is.
So if you want to suggest a couple of topics, things that you might be interested in us chatting about, could be anything, throw them in here. We'll put them up on a vote in a minute. Piranha Plant will be collecting them and then we'll go on to there so that when we hit that point at the top, we'll chat about it. At the moment, I've pulled some questions both from the Discord from before. I said a long time ago that I would grab questions from, whenever in the future. So I grabbed some from the before times. I grabbed some new questions. I even asked on my own stream today for some questions. And also, I added in there Myth's world building process because we sort of spoke a little bit about how me, Whack, and PB build a world, and I think we can talk a little bit more about it now because at the time there was no side quest, and now so I had to be quite guarded with my world building process because I was literally I'd been building a world. I was like, I don't want to talk about it too much, but maybe Myth has something that you can add to that. So that is if we hit that top one. Character traits, D&D classes IRL, character deaths. And then the first question is something that says linked characters. And I wrote that so quickly that I put an apostrophe on there and I'm going to leave it. So genuinely surprised that Whack didn't tell me off about it. Sometimes he comes in, he marks my work. Actually, when I'm sleeping, he comes in and he watches my day stream VODs. And then I wake up in the morning and he transcribes the entire VOD and then goes over it with like a red pen marker and like puts little ticks and sad faces next to the parts of the streams that he didn't like and wants me to improve on. Yep. How we doing? Hi, Myth.
Hi. I forgot to announce and tweet and stuff, so I'm just doing that real quick. Like a professional.
I've done absolutely none of that.
Okay, good.
We're relying entirely on word of mouth at this point. We've completely underutilized technology. I'm too tired. I did SideQuest this week, which was the launch of our new show, SideQuest, which I've been working on for a good long while. And any launch of a Tablestory show is, all of us have done it. It is the most insane amount of work and stress building up to that first episode. You launch it, and then you sort of need a day off. Didn't take one. Had so much stuff to do on Wednesday. It was crazy. Got up super early. Had to go and do a thing. And then came back, did a stream, and then on Thursday.
Day after is extra crazy.
Day after is a weird thing because I get bad post GMing brain death anyway. My brain goes into literal torpor. I cannot even think. I'm very dead, and quite often the next day I'm a little more brain dead than I am usually. But session 1, show episode 1 is horrendous how bad my brain doesn't work the next day, and I had to go and do something that was quite brain intensive the next morning, which I'm not going to tell you about, but I did. Which sounds dodgy as hell. And
NDA.
you know what?
It's only fair.
You know what? It was dodgy as shit. Okay, none of it was legal. It was messed up. And then immediately the day after, I was like, you know what? Can't wait to be relaxing on my Thursday night. And Whack was like, hey, you want to run the entire production for main character on the drop of a dime? And I was like, you know what? Fuck it.
Sure.
So I sat there like between Wednesday and Thursday. I was doing all, because we also set up all of the stuff for like the podcast versions of the shows. Also, you know what? Another thing that's like hard work about the first episode of show is like nothing is in part of a machine. You have all your thumbnails and you know what you're doing. You copy paste last week's info and descriptions and things and all that kind of stuff. You just upload this to there. But you have to set it up for the first time, and then it becomes a machine. So that was my Wednesday. PB helped me.
It even takes like maybe even a couple weeks to like get
to build a
all
new
your
habit.
thumbnails. I was like, I made a thumbnail for it and just wasn't happy with it. But I was like, oh, it'll do for now. And then the next day I got up and sat and worked on it again and again. I changed the entire thumbnail and like was like, this is what I prefer. This one. I went with that one, and I did like stuff like that. Thursday did main character production. By the way, main character is on way too late. It's the old time. It's the old, do you know what? It's not even the old time. It's still the old time for me was 9 p.m. till 12. That was when we ran shows.
Right.
I didn't make a dent. I was fine. You know, I used to just be like, it's all good. I'll do 3 hours of wild RP right now. I just ran a show. Now I can't. I'm so tired by 10:30. It is not. I'm so old. I get up at 8 a.m. which is still late, but like I lay in there and I'm just like, oh yeah.
8 a.m. is so late.
It is so unbelievably late. But
Brad used to get up at like noon.
Yeah.
And and he used to just be like, yeah, I had to get up at 10 a.m. He's like, why are you awake?
I was going to sleep when the light was coming up. The sun was coming up. The light was coming up. The light was coming up. I don't know what the sun is yet.
The light orb.
I haven't been introduced to fire or the wheel. The sun would be coming up.
Wheel?
The sun would be coming up, and that's when I'd go to bed, and then I'd go to sleep for a few hours and get up. But I've sort of fixed, because I fixed my sleep pattern, I can sleep like, you know, quote unquote 8 hours. I can be in bed predominantly sleeping for 8 hours, which sounds like I'm absolutely having so much sexual intercourse, but it isn't. I still have a little insomnia, and I wake up.
That's what that means.
Lay there for a while, listen to an audio book for an hour and a half in the middle of the night, and then fall back asleep. But because I fixed it and I'm like rock solid about it, my sleeping schedule has come back and back and back from like what was like probably like 5-6 a.m. to like midnight. But I'm tired. The problem is I'm tired at 10. Side quest finishes at 10, right? The old shows used to finish at midnight. Then we brought them back, and they finished at 11, which is when main character's still on that timeline.
Yeah,
I can't do it, man. Dude, it was so bad. I was sitting there last night just doing this. And you were like, and you walk into a completely new scene. And I was like, all I had to do was click one button, change to the map scene. And I was like, just barely holding it together, man. It's bad, dude. It's bad how tired I get at what would have been like the old. We were very nearly doing side quest from what would be for me 8 till 11, and I wouldn't be able to do it. I would not be able to do it.
You had to beg. Can we please change the time?
Oh God,
Please.
I just can't anymore.
Brutal. So yeah, it's rough. It's rough, and like I mean. Then, of course, PB was like, I'm taking a spa day, so you should run like a non-effort tonight. And I was like, PB, I am so tired. She was like, shut your bitch ass up. Shut up. You don't even understand what tired is like. I had to do 2 spa days last week. I was
Phoebe pretending like she can threaten right now when she can't. Those 2 sentences, those two word phrases that she typed in the chat was all of her energy for the next hour.
That was it.
She is on the moon right now. It's hilarious. Like, I know exactly what she's doing. She is on muscle relaxants, and that shit you lose. Yeah, you don't exist you do that thing, you know, where you sort of
Discord Elysium character.
yeah. You float in and out of lucidity and reality. You know, like that happens to you all day, and then you only really, really remember it, like, or notice it when you're like a week off of them, and you're like, man, I don't remember the last 2 weeks of my life.
Why are my bones so heavy?
What is happening? And you're just floating around or whatever. That's where she's at. So anyway, we got Myth here to chat with. How
PB, it's me, PB. Everyone.
It's PB. How
Hi, I am the spa day.
It's been a little while. Last time I put you in a show was Rise of the Apprentice, which was a Star Wars show, and then
Correct.
And then this week Myth is in our new show Side Quest.
Side Quest.
Holwyn Brightfoot.
Side Quest.
Side Quest.
Thank you.
It's so impressive how for me, it's the fact that he managed to put vibrato on the I and not the quest. Like, you'd be like, quest, right? But he's like, side quest. How he's insane.
The golden voice.
And
But it was one take too. He was just like,
100%. He just went, I'll just do this. I'll bang this out for him. Did it on his phone. Sounded
didn't even wake up
anything
yet.
we've
The
ever
first
done.
words of the day.
Yeah, just didn't warm up. Nothing. It was the perfect. How are you doing, Myth? How are you doing? I know you're a bit tired as well, but in general,
I'm tired. I'm tired. I think because like I was very and am very excited for Side Quest. Still very excited about Side Quest, but then it came and went, the beginning of it, and now it is over. You're right, because
there
that was
one
the
episode of that.
Right. Like, I was so excited about it and everything, and then like even after Side Quest, like on Tuesday, right? Yeah, Tuesday, I was like, okay, that's it. That's it for the week. I don't have anything else to do. I'm just gonna rest, and like I haven't had a chance to rest, but like my brain is in that like that excitement. New show, new character type. It's still in like recovery from premiere week mode, so I get it. But I'm not. I don't have post show DM.
You have the player excitement.
Yeah.
Feeling.
Yeah.
And then you also
oh my god, guys, this is so great. I love you. You're all my favorite. Oh my god, I can't wait to keep playing.
The feeling of making a character is like. It's like one of the most, I love it, but it's like one of the most fun things, but it's all like mechanical. It's like, what species are you? What numbers do you put where and stuff? But then you do the first episode and you're like, I know how they speak. I know what this is going to happen. I now know how this is this thing and how they're going to interact with that thing and blah, blah. And you start like, oh my God, I can't wait for more stuff to happen. And then you sit there quietly for the next episode to happen. Yeah, it's super exciting, but it is brutal. Because as a GM, you can work on stuff in the week. I can get excited about like something and then work on it between now and next week. You don't really get to work on stuff as a player until
that's called cheating, right?
Yeah, that's called being orcish, and how he plays the game.
Plays offline.
Just playing offline. He's running through like simulations of what could possibly happen next week, in which he can min max.
He's been lying about his Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough. Like, he's just trying to min-max.
I noticed that he actually.
Guys, I think I'm gonna change to a bard.
Yeah, he started playing as a bard last week, which was so sus. And he was like, "Oh, they voted on it or whatever." And it's like, dude, this is insane. Trying to win D&D.
Brad, I would like to jump over here.
I want to shove him.
Becoming a Cartoon Network character, by the way, Wag, the version of Orcish that you do now. But yeah, he is trying so hard to win that whole game, and you guys didn't even do a quest. You know what I mean? The whole
Right.
point of the show is that you collect
I
quests.
mean, to us, level 1 pieces of crap, we did enjoy that quest. We're like, yes, it's a quest. So, I mean, when it comes down to like,
kind
you
of
want the experience? This isn't a quest. This doesn't count. This isn't a real thing.
kind of counts. All right, well, let's get on to our first little topic here. Thank you so much,
Linked
people who are
characters.
in here tipping, and obviously, if you have a few bucks and you want to launch them our way, you don't get an amazing, incredible reward for it on the non-effort streams, but just if you want to support the channel, we appreciate it so much. It's how we're able to afford things like.
Side quest.
And I don't mean the show, I mean how much that cost me to get Fist to record that on his phone at 7 a.m. in the morning. It is astonishing. His rates have gone up. Really appreciate the tips coming through, everyone. And yeah, the first question comes from April Rain 888. Never heard of them. And this was from the before times. This was a question from a little while ago. And I think, I don't know if we touched on it or not, but I thought it was interesting, and it kind of jumps on with the character thing. What are pros and cons of creating a character that is linked/tied to another player at character creation? How much of the backstory would you flesh out with the players and the GM? And what's your favorite relationship RP that you've done, if any of it? But really, we want to focus on the first bit here. So let's go with, I'm going to give you this. But yeah, what are the pros and, let's start with the pros and cons of creating a character that's linked to another player at the table. So I assume this means, like, if you were like, oh, that's my brother, or we're gonna be
Right.
we're rivals or something like that. What do you think?
Like what's the critical role? Vex and
Vex and Vax.
Vex and
The
Vax?
twins?
Yeah, something like that. That's what you mean by linked.
Yeah, I assume so. Yeah,
Not necessarily siblings, but something like that, where you're like, we made our characters together.
right.
I mean, like, it depends, because it's like there is. I don't know if are you asking me, or are you asking the room?
I'm just
I don't know.
asking the
I'm
room.
answering.
Whichever one of you wants to grab the baton, I'm gonna set up a poll. So it's on
Alright,
you
cool.
two. One of you two can speak.
I guess it depends, because like you could link them in a way that they aren't friends, family. They can be enemies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, both offers when it comes down to like the meta of the game. I think that they're both really good for collaborative, like, storytelling. The only thing that can get a little awkward is making the other players at the table feel left out of whatever it is that's happening. If you are going to link with a character, you should find a way to link with everyone else, even if it's not even close, like, or close as a family member or a best friend or an enemy. But like, maybe they even if it's just like, hey, we both watched a robbery happen down the street once, something like that. I think that's probably why bonds even exist in as in D&D, is to sort of give you those training wheels for thinking like that. But it is hard to sort of do that stuff without, not hard, but it can be a slippery slope to link and then exclude at the table, which is sort of that, like, how close are you? This isn't just a game with only you two. You have the rest of the party. How are you going to incorporate other people that are apparently strangers or not as close as these two characters are starting? Or they could be super distant and be enemies, but they still have, out of game, this link that they've made, whether or not it is, like, whether or not the characters are close or happy with each other. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Like, when it comes to pros and cons, I guess that's it. It's like, it can be good, but it's a slippery slope. That makes sense. That's just my surface knee-jerk reaction and answer.
Yeah, I think there's a reason that a lot of systems have some form of bonds. Many systems have, as part of the character creation, they'll do a thing where it's like, you should be creating your characters together. You know, like some of them have those mechanics where it's like you do an episode 0, like it's part of the mechanics of the system.
Right.
And they say specifically like, all right, how many players are in your game? You have to pick one person that is this and one person that is this, you know, and it's usually like a positive and a negative kind of bond, or maybe not. Maybe it's just a positive and a neutral bond, or positive, neutral, and bad. And you have some kind of antagonistic relationship or something along those lines. I think it's all good stuff, man. I mean, it all comes down to prompts for helping you flesh out a backstory. So whatever helps you flesh out a backstory is good, in my opinion. When we created our characters for Spellwind, you know, PB and I created two characters that had a background together effectively, and Brad and Meyer did. So we had very rough plans for that. We were just like,
me too.
What side of the Entente did we want to be on?
Did we do that, or did you do that, Myth? I can't remember if you was like, what if you two are linked and you two are linked, or did we do that? Do you remember?
I think we had some rough ideas.
Rough ideas, yeah.
And then,
I was like,
you were like, what about this? And we went with that. Like we were like, because I think we had used another game as reference where it was like, I really liked how we did it on this show or whatever. And I liked, what was it? Was it? I can't remember.
I played an
what show
artificer in Frost Maiden, and I remember, I don't know if this was
yes,
yours.
it was Frost. It was,
yeah,
it
and
was
then
Rhyme.
you looked at the class and went, this is...
Well, because when we
like,
started
Artificer looks
Rhyme,
pretty
right?
Sweet. Yeah, and
when
I was like,
we started
it is
Rhyme, we
cool.
had locals and we had
yes,
and we had the people that were traveling.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, true. We did
so
do that.
That was that. I think that was the primer for that. We were just like,
right.
I really liked how that worked out. We should having both sides of a coin will
Sort
give
of
us a
meat.
lot of depth here. Yeah.
And then I think you were like, I want to be an armorer, and BB was like, I think I'm going to do a paladin this time. Had nothing else
Originally-
besides that, and then it was like, I think this
originally-
will actually work.
I just wanted to be an alchemist.
Yeah.
And Meyer chimed in with that, and I said, I jokingly, I was like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do now? And I was like, no, I can still do an artificer. I'll do something different. And I thought armorer was cool. So.
And what was actually nice about that, like, this is a thing that I think is interesting in character creation that we ran into a little bit with SideQuest, even, in that you and Maya both playing very similar classes was actually awesome in the game. It sounds horrible when you're like building a character and two people are like, I want to be a barbarian, and you're like, two barbarians, and it's like, hey, there's all these classes. Right. But what you ended up developing between Smith and Jet was that you became sort of mentor, and you got to do that where he was like learning stuff. There was a bit of the narrative where you were like teaching him stuff, and he was learning off of you, and you were like, you're like really good at this, by the way. And he, you know, and it was that storyline in everything is always interesting, but you don't think of that in character creation. And I don't think it even really came up in Spellwind until like at least halfway through, before that sort of dynamic started to begin to build between Smith and Jet. But it was really good. I loved that. And that is a fun reason to play the same class as someone else at the table.
The
how
subclass
differently can you play it?
aspect of things,
Yeah.
subclass of things, really makes the characters more diverse than you think they will be. And PB brings up a good point too. You and PB both challenged each other to play certain characters before the game started. So we had a few different kinds of prompts.
Yeah.
Well, I know immediately you were like, PB needs to be a paladin. And, she did the thing where she's like,
I did do that.
oh, you're going to dare me to be a paladin? Fine, I'll play a fucking paladin. Like,
yeah. I like that kind of that little play. I will say, I think there are some like cons, because I think the con of linking two players is if they don't know the characters well enough. If you're the type of player who doesn't do a lot of prep for your character, which is not a negative thing, it doesn't matter if you show up and you're just like, I know my name and roughly an idea of who I am, but I'm going to work it out as I go. Cool. But if let's imagine you have a player who does that and a player who over preps, and you put those two players together and you're just like, go. One of them kind of doesn't know anything, and then the other one will be constantly like having to pick them up, and it's kind of awkward in play when like one person is like, oh, you remember that time when we went to the blah 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 blah, and the other one is like, I have no reference of this, you know, or whatever.
I love the variety personally.
I think it's like, I mean, what I mean is in like a meta way, when you can obviously tell that one of the players doesn't know the information that the other one does, and they're trying to reference a shared background or a shared common thing. I think that's awkward, personally. I think it's so awkward if like one of them clearly doesn't know.
It's definitely awkward.
Yeah,
I don't
kills
hate
me.
it though.
I
don't hate it.
Me.
Right.
So my opinion is, when you get those situations where somebody over prepares their backstory, they're like way better in the beginning episodes because they have a sort of dialed in feeling. But in my opinion, you can be a little inflexible when you do that kind of stuff. And when you have the player that is more of an improv thing and they show up, because I'm the second one, believe it or not. I'm the second one. I don't make massive crazy backstories for my characters usually.
Same.
I make some bullet points. For me, I just try and think of what their mentality is like, and then I can build everything off of that.
Yeah.
So
I'm a blend. I'm a blend, and it depends on what I'm being put in. You know.
Right. But in those situations, I like a very varied cast. I like people that are good at certain things because I think it all overlaps with each other, and I think like you cover for each other in your weak spots.
Yeah, I think that's completely true of like a normal cast. But when you're two of your characters are supposed to be, if you like twins, if me and Myth went into a game and we were twins, and Myth was like this is what we're gonna have. This is gonna be a big deal. This is an enormous, and like, you know, like there could be just some really important thing. Like there was this shared trauma that we had when we were 8, and you know, go through all this stuff. We get into
These
the
characters,
game.
or this is real life, right?
We get into. Do you remember that shared trauma?
Yeah.
We had when we were 8.
Yeah.
Why
do I?
But then we get into a game, right? And the GM does something and goes, you know, there's an explosion and there's fire everywhere. I'm just thinking of Ty. Ty had like a fear of fire. And so let's imagine that in Spellwind, Myth was playing my twin, who also was scared of fire. But he has forgotten or doesn't know because he didn't prepare. He doesn't know what his character is because he's completely improving it. But my character is like, oh no, this is a big deal. And it's like a transformative.
Remember, we don't like fire.
Yeah, and then they have to do that where the one character is like, I jumped through the fire, and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to do that because we're afraid of fire and we're traumatized by it. And the other guy's like, oh yeah, I'm traumatized by the fire. That is what I mean by awkward. Like that, I'm like, that is a con for me. For if you have linked characters, but you haven't prepared your character to understand the link. I don't care if you show up and you don't know the world. I don't care if you show up and you want to improv the whole thing. You have an idea for a character, you like, or whatever.
Yeah, but you should know the link. Yeah.
But if you don't if you don't know the link and you don't, and the other person has prepared stuff. Now, if both of you show up and like, we're twins, all good. Fist and Ven did that in non-canon. I sat down, I was like, let's get a time in between, because I had a week, right, to grab them and make characters and bring them in for a one shot. I was like, it's going to be a superhero thing, so just try and think of superheroes or whatever. I got them into a call, the two of them. By the way, wrangling cats, getting streamers into calls is always a nightmare. All of us are busy. We're all trying to find it, trying to squeeze an hour in, trying to find them. I've got a week to do it. I get them into a call, and I was like, okay, this is the setting. You're in like a superhero thing. It's a previous show, blah, blah, blah. I gave them the spiel, 10 minutes, and then Fist and Ven both went, okay, what if you're Chonk and I'm Chonk? And they both went, okay. And then we ended the call. And I was like, what? And I was like, what the and they showed up and they killed. If one of you isn't preparing and the other one isn't preparing, all good. If one of you is preparing and the other one isn't, I think there's a danger. There's a potential for.
There's always a danger. I don't think it's necessarily a higher probability than not setting it up, in my opinion. I've done so many friggin' shows at this point. I don't know how many I'm up to. It's got to be over 30 at least.
Wax
And
is
I've
hollow.
seen-
He doesn't give a shit what you show up with. You could show up with like a name written in pencil on a fucking an
I've
old train
experienced
ticket.
all of it.
Yeah, he just
Like,
doesn't care anymore.
I definitely care.
You care,
I
but you don't.
100%
You
care.
just don't.
It-
You've seen everything.
I've
You've seen too
inoculated
long.
myself
Yeah.
against those situations, though, for
Mhm.
sure. I mean, I've had people just come up with the worst characters like ever, and then like people coming up with the greatest shit. I'm just like, I feel embarrassed for what I have prepared, like as the GM.
That was me
Um,
with SideQuest this week. Showing up with like, I only managed to like prepare this, and it was like one piece of paper, and I slid it painfully
note.
for like, hope this is good enough for a professional channel and my friends who are relying on this to be a fun campaign.
So
It was,
there's
right,
like
everyone.
The
there's-
Arrested Development wink, that one she does where it's like the
Yeah.
slowest. I don't even know how she does that. It's so impressive.
There's definitely the inoculation of things. So do I love it when people like come to the session one like ready to fucking go, and they're like, I got all this shit worked out. Yeah, it feels good when people are like super invested in the campaign. It hasn't even started yet,
Me at session 0. Full costume. Full
and
white
then
hair,
like
baby powder hair.
yeah, I mean, I'm excited when people are just having a good time, ultimately. But I have to say, in terms of like just general characters that are linked together before anything happens, I think it's a good prompt. It's just one of many possible prompts you can have for making your backstory ultimately. I'm not a do I like it when systems have mechanics for like helping you build your backstory? Yeah, definitely. I think that's good shit. I wish more systems helped you build your backstory out like that. Because I know there's a lot of people that struggle with that stuff. We're the like 1%. Our shows.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, unbelievable.
99% of people are playing this like a strategy board game.
Well, the thing is, I think a lot of the problem is things like D&D just being like, what's your background? Soldier. Here's a medal of honor and a skill proficiency. But then we played, you know what taught me was wine.
Yeah, what's old is new. Yeah.
When we played old, and it made me, for the first time ever, and again, I hadn't been playing a huge many years or anything, but it makes you build your you actually get like
history,
stats
your character's history
through your history. You get your years like 1 to 8. What did you do? And then your earliest job, and then like what you did during these years of your life. And I played an old guy. The first character I made was like 80 years old. He was sort of a Barristan Selmy knight, and I had to give him his whole life. I was like, he was an old jouster and he was good at it. And then he became a town guard because he was too old to be doing, fairs and stuff. And like, I learned everything about this guy rolling these dice. And it was like, you rolled a certain amount of years. Like, how long did they do that for and stuff? Man, and then I had to justify it. This is the thing. It's contextual justifying, isn't it? When you're like, why did he become a town guard then? Well, because he's too old. He couldn't do this thing anymore. And then I'm like, well, do you think that would have pissed him off? He was like famous. He was basically like medieval person, famous jouster. And then he becomes a town guard. Life goes on after your movie, credits roll. And he's just still living. But he
went viral for jousting.
He went viral, and then he becomes a town guard. And I was like, do you think that pissed him off? And then I was like, yeah, because I think that will inform an interesting character arc for when he now goes on whatever this journey is. And he does become the hero that, might. That it was so, and I was like, okay, I want everyone to do that. And you know who else does a thing that I have stolen? Jay Brotato, and I did this for SideQuest. I still send people give me an NPC you love, give me an NPC you hate or can be a rival, give me your family's names. Even if you don't know them, or if you don't know them, why? Now you got to think why. So give me your parents' names and any siblings you have, because
I
now
haven't done any of that.
you have to. You did do that. You have to. You got to think of it. You got to think of it. And I think those little things are so great for just peppering in questions in your brain. I love that I know your character, by the way.
Mm.
You definitely did do it.
Okay, I believe you.
It was the only homework you had, and you all handed it in.
Well, I'm notorious for doing my homework, Brad. Let me see here.
It's insane, by the way.
Surprised Myth doesn't have the paper props ready, just throwing papers up in the air.
Yeah, I wish you-
I can, but some of that is tax information, which I still need to do.
I've GM'd for you before, Myth. Don't
My
worry.
stomach
I've
is
got
already
you covered.
dropped out. Thank you.
I've got you. I got you covered. I know your backstory.
Perfect.
Thanks for the
Thanks, one of
tips,
us.
by the way. We do have another question that I need to add as well to the thing. I was a bit scared that the bar wasn't going to work, so let me know because it's been messed with so badly.
Bars working.
There's a sort of second part of this question that I think we can probably jump into. We got time because we're just relying on those tips to come through before we're allowed to
Okay, I
change
found my
topic.
notes.
So we're
I
sort of
did.
stuck on this for a while anyway. Yeah, you did.
It's fine. People
Um,
just don't care if our channel dies forever.
Wow.
Wow,
Wow,
Catholic level,
dude.
dude.
Transformed into
Yeah.
my parents within seconds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess you don't.
Fine
I guess you
wine.
don't tidy your room, or I guess you don't care whether we all die. So I paid all this rent and I got the roof over your head and dinner on the table.
I gotta drop those every now and again just to remind people. Like I went to Catholic school.
Let's see if that
When I was a
works,
kid.
guys. We're going to keep an eye on the tips. See if we want to get to the next question here. Or the topic.
Imagine what my parents did to me. Like,
Anyway, next part of the question
It
was
did work. It was working.
Hey, yeah. Don't
There's a
incentivize
reason.
that.
All right,
There's
keep
a
it up.
reason that the church has done that for so fucking long.
Oh God!
There it
Yeah,
is.
are we a church now? Can we at least be a cult? How much of the backstory would you flesh out with the players and the GM? Now, this I think is supposed to be to do with like linked player characters, but I think it's just interesting when you have a character in general. There is an interesting story that there's a reason that we can't share the side quest session 0 character creation yet. That would be the perfect answer to this, but would also be we can't tell you why that is. But remind me one day that the perfect
Just
answer to
remember
this
to tell
question
me.
is sitting there. I mean, in terms of backstory, with a linked player thing, I think you've got to. I'll tell you an interesting one that happened was for Oracle's Rest when Greg and Keorki joined the campaign, because I think they joined at the same time. And I said, go, just have an idea in your head of what characters you want to make, and then we'll sit down and we'll like bang the characters out and figure it out. And then the both of them went away and made 2 characters. This wasn't a DM where they were both in it. I messaged Greg separately to Keorki. I said the same thing, because I say the same thing as a GM all the time, where I'm like, just think of an idea, but try not to get too mechanical. We'll deal with that later. Just get an idea in
And
your
give
head.
me the name of your family.
And then give me the name of your best friend. So they go away. They come up with like 2 pretty solid. I mean, both of them are the type of player that will come back to you with a novel. You know, they're both like, this is. I mean, it was just an idea, but here is the first like idea that I had. Like they both basically came back with fully fleshed out characters, but they both came back and went, I want to be a Herongon, which is a rabbit person, you know. And I went, wait, did you 2 plan this? And they were like, no. And then I was like, okay, dragged them both
Well,
into the same DM and was like, you both by pure chance picked rabbit people. Weird. What the fuck? And also now we have to link them. And I went, you guys are you're related in some way, not like necessarily like blood relation, but your characters are related in some way. What is it? And then we came up with a really cool thing between the 2 of them together, linked their 2 ideas of a character, gave them a really interesting backstory, let them play them twice, and then never ran oracles again. But I'm busy. Okay?
Around the
Okay.
same time, by the way,
That's
is
perfect.
when I ran Root, and Drac made a rabbit that had a carrot buster sword.
Which basically means that all three of those people are like really unoriginal and should come up with better ideas.
Something happened in the generational upbringing from Bucky O'Hare, Final Fantasy type.
Yeah, just like messing with.
Yeah.
Exactly. I wonder what we find out that all three of them were like born on the same day or something, you know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that like that was a really interesting character creation process for me, because that answers all of these questions by pure chance as well, in that like we had these linked characters, but then we fleshed the entire thing out, but they had to come to me in a way I brought it to them, and then in order for what they had planned for their characters to work, we had to sit and workshop it together basically, and we came up with like a whole thing. So I think it's really hard as a GM. Personally, I don't like it when you just make stuff up and then don't tell me. Unless
Surprise.
we're setting this in like Forgotten Realms or something, you can just undo my entire lore with one flippant comment, you know? What if my setting specifically relies on this works this way, and you come in and you're just like, yeah, we are from the future, and I'm like, cool, ruined the whole fucking show, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? What do you mean you're from the future? Yeah. So us
And
three.
then you're just cooked.
Available merch. It's backwards. Tablestory.tv/merch. If you want to get your decook.
Mm-hmm. You want to get your deck hook?
Yeah,
That gecko.
I think if you're going to have linked players, you want to. I mean, this is the thing. I already think you want to be talking to each other a lot, because I think you shouldn't have linked players where one of you doesn't know anything anyway. But I also am a big fan of any change you fucking make to your character sheet, or you tell me about it. The only thing I don't give a shit about is like what you get at level up, what spells you have and stuff. I'm not one of those GMs who cares. It's like, what are you, a sorcerer? Okay, you're a sorcerer. Great.
Right.
You don't need to tell me all that stuff. But if you're gonna have some like lore thing where you're like, I'm from this island that is like off the shore, and like over there they have airships, I'm like, no, there's no airships. Now I've got to invent airships, or
And have no idea to create that entire thing, entire economy around and transportation about airships. It's a part of my backstory. We'll save it for another.
You've got to be
game.
telling your backstory to your GM. Again, I think unless it's like a really well-established setting, and you know, like if it was Forgotten Realms,
Or not established setting, and you're willing to just now on the fly make an airship island over there.
yeah, which was also a great idea and was very close to being what SideQuest was going to be before it was even called SideQuest. I actually was very
Called
tempted.
airship.
Well, I was actually thinking of going in with like almost a fully blank slate, almost as if we're literally sketching it beforehand, and I was going to have the maps be like all sketch looking. And
Just a bunch of rice thrown on a piece of paper, and you taking a picture on your iPhone, and then sending and being like, "This is the map, everybody."
Actually, there are systems that do that kind of stuff, and there's video games that do it too.
Where you're like
There
really
you go.
just inventing it as you go along,
Yes.
and it's like you start out in a town, and we do it there and then, and you flesh that town out and you go. But I was like, I think it would be really fun. I don't think it's exactly what I want to run as a show. I think it would be potentially a very slow experience for a lot of people, because it would be a lot of stop start between some narrative stuff where you're like, and we completely stop, and it becomes a podcast about creating a town, and then we move on again. And I do think it would be great, but it's not what I wanted to do yet.
Right.
But it was really close to being like legitimately we were
Like
going
that.
with a blank slate. And one of the other things that I've always wanted to do, that I was about to do for it, was that you didn't know your characters yet, and I give you all a bunch of blank character sheets, and you find out as you go along, and then you fill it out. You know, so you just
I love
start,
that.
and you maybe just write in your
I
name.
don't think anybody else
So you
would,
just
but
put
I'd
in-
lie.
Yeah, I know. It would just be. This is what. One day I'll do like a one-on-one show, and it'll just be me and you, and we'll do this. But like, yeah, like
Wacky.
you just put in a name, and then you go, and then you don't find out till session 4 you're a sorcerer, or your level, or what skills you're proficient in, because you then justify it. The first time you hit the road on travel, and someone rolls a natural 20 on perception, you have a proficiency in that. Why? You know. You just did so well on this. You're the
guess
one
I
that
was-
spots the horde of orcs that are rushing towards you. Why is it that you're familiar with them? Why do you know that their movements? How are you able to spot them? Oh, because I'm an elf.
Sort of forced to think about backstory or like give reason to why you have that skill.
Yeah. Very,
It's
very
cool.
nearly was what side quest was. It was a real toss up between the two, and then I kind of was like, I think I'm gonna. At the time, I didn't have the mental strength to think of that because it was around the time that I think Whack and PB were like, run non-canon. I was like, okay. I was like, I think I'm just gonna go like pretty traditional with the whole thing. But yeah, it was a really. It's still a unique idea that I want to do. I also love the invert version of that, by the way, where the DM, hands out your character sheets and you don't know what's, like, they've already filled it all out, and then you find out as you go along what you are. So it's not like you invent it. It's just that the DM has already written that you're a level 4 dragonborn sorcerer, and then you find out who you are as you go along.
Mm-hmm.
By like doing, you're in a fight and suddenly you open your mouth and you have a breath weapon, you're a dragon. You find
This
out.
character exists. You're just piloting it and figuring out the vehicle as.
I'm too much of a control freak. I can't do it.
Yeah. It is pretty daunting, but
You couldn't do that way?
No.
Why?
No. Oh, see, now Brad's getting excited. He's like, no, Whack's gotta be in it.
Why?
Gotta destroy him.
Why not?
I mean, I know the
Well,
answer is therapy, but
yeah,
if you were to give a different
It's
answer on a
usually the answer,
professional,
to be fair.
if you were to give a different answer for a podcast reason,
Yeah, no, it's just I think the way that I play characters in general is I need to get into their headspace, and then I can do anything as the character. So for me to connect with them, I have to know what they're capable of, and then I can role play that out. So it's a little bit like just preparation versus improv, right?
Right.
That's the preparation for me, and then I can improv. So if I have to like improv the character, I don't even know if I'm gonna like them after that's done for me. And if I get into a spot where I don't like my character, I'm not having fun. It's that simple. I've built characters that I don't like before, and I don't have fun. And like I've rolled like really badly on dice or something, and I'll be like, oh, they're an idiot or whatever, and I'm like, God, this is really tough for me to play. Like, you know, I feel like I'm just doing the same thing over and over again, you know. And it loses its charm, you know, if you, you know, I actually find it quite difficult to play kind of like a dumber character because they sort of, you know what they're going to do before they do it, right? It's like, your options sort of get limited. It's like, oh, well, if I have to play the stupid thing here, I have to do something really dumb right now. And everybody knows what that's going to be.
That is one of the reasons that Dodo is dumb, is because for me, that's fine.
Dodo, for those just joining us,
Don't Die is the show that PB normally runs on a Friday when she can be bothered to show up for work.
This is for you, all you new people who are coming in and have no idea what we're talking about.
And it's just a short run thing in which PB's basically running us through a roguelite, a D&D game. But playing a dumb character for a year sucks. Playing a dumb character for 8 sessions, fun. Right. Being a dumb character for an entire year while the whole party is like getting better at stuff and you remain in 4 and you're just like, I kicked the door, and you're like, yeah, we know. You've been doing that for a fucking year. Like, 100% agree with
there is something to be said about like playing a character that wouldn't even be in that situation realistically. Meaning, like, there's like even not necessarily within like a tabletop space or a but also like because there's video game role play and things like that. But if you're playing a character that whether or not they've got an intelligence of 4, let's just say we'll use that excuse in all forms. LARPing, video game, which I guess is LARPing, but you're in a video game, which is way nerdier, by the way, which is hilarious. And then there's like in TTRPGs, let's just say you have a dumb character. Why are the other characters keeping you around? You know, like what? Not necessarily because you're really good at fighting or because of X, Y, and Z, but at some point, how does the rest of the group benefit from your
nothing,
character?
from your nothing?
Right? Sometimes it's just like, oh, we get to laugh every once in a while, but sometimes it's like, okay, we get it. Your character's drunk all the time. They keep falling and stabbing the wrong person or blah, blah, blah. But like at some point, the character's going to go, why is he with us? Why are we? Let's just leave him at the next tavern, you know?
It's hard though, right? Because if your character is drunk, you can have a character arc where you get sober.
Right.
If your character is dumb.
But then you have a person who's like, my character is always going to be, that's just who they are. I want to make a character who's just a drunk all the time. And it's like, okay, we're...
Well, what you do is, and who you're referencing there is Orcish. And what you do is what I do, where you flowers for Algernon, his character, and you force him to get his brain back. And you find out that his -8 int was in fact a curse from like an ancient drow priestess. And you lift that curse and you're like, now play properly. Grow up.
Actually, that is something I did.
See, there it is. That's the answer, it turns out. I was joking,
years
but I
ago
think it might be.
A game. I had these players at the table. It was the only players like in my local, like in my area. So they were from in like an age past of D&D. And when they sat down at the table, this was like at the table, like not over the internet, like, you know, the old school style, what people did back then. It's crazy. But when we sat down, they're like, boy, Cord, you're really going to hate role playing with us. And I was like, why is that? And they're like, because we make GMs quit. And I was like, oh, okay. Challenge accepted. And why? Why do you do that?
Yeah.
And it was like a thing that they wanted to do. Like they wanted... Anyway, they sat down, and I'm getting off topic, but one of the characters just sat down and wanted to be a serial killer. Like, just like GTA...
Write a book.
Playthrough. There's a person there? Great. I want to kill them. And I'm like, oh, okay. And midway through the session, someone cast Detect Magic. And I was like, okay. And they were talking about their character, the character who wanted to play an unaliver. They were talking about their like heirloom belt. And I was like, okay, cool. The person who casted Detect Magic noticed that the belts had negative magic. It happened to be cursed. And that was giving this person these thoughts. So then it turned into an arc about how do we cure this versus this character. And the player was like, that's really cool. I love that. But it was such a thing where I was like, this is what you brought? You brought a rogue who wants to just end everyone? Okay. And then it turned into an arc. We never got to finish it out, but it was just such a, like, and they loved it because there was something I sort of was able to twist this one thing that could have really just thrown everything. Like, it could have just been not fun to, like, okay, well, I guess we're fighting townsfolk. I don't know.
The reason they never got to finish that out, by the way, is that he quit as their GM.
yeah, and they're like, yeah. I actually didn't because I endured because I'm a people pleaser. But they did. I moved away. That was it. I moved. Actually, it was so bad I moved out of town.
Quit.
Yeah, so I left. Yeah, I was like,
You quit extra hard. You're like, I gotta leave the town.
Fuck this group, man. You're just gonna play a serial killer.
Yeah.
You like just openly murder hobo.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah. I mean, those sort of like that style of play is almost that like old DM versus players mentality that I don't think any of us really employ.
It wasn't like
I think it's
it was just like it was such a video game like I wanna and it was such a not like this old style, but it was just such like they were used to character death, they were used to, and I'm trying to make transitions and segues, but they're used to character deaths. They were used to like the evil dark side of D&D. They really just wanted to like, I don't know. It was like their fun was to like get under the skin of their dungeon master, and I was like, this is so. Why? What? This is the fun thing for you? Oh, this is so weird.
Yeah, and then you GM them. Sometimes they just need a better GM though.
A yes and guy to be like, okay, well,
Yeah.
figure out whatever you're giving me. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Well, here we go.
Oh, you
And
want to
like,
be serial killers? Cool, you're all evil now, and the heroes are
Yeah.
coming to get you.
right. Yeah, you're like, oh, what? Yeah,
Your
this is what
villains
you
are
want.
the heroes, and they're going to be
Yeah,
strong
great.
as shit.
You get locked up for years. When do you want to meet up? Oh, we'll meet up next session. Sure. It's 50 years later when you're out of jail and you're all years old.
Yeah, you're old as shit.
So, like, what do you
haven't got
wanna
any
do now?
stronger.
Yeah, no, you're in fact weaker. You've all
You're
leveled.
actually
You've
weaker.
de-leveled
You've
3
lost
levels.
all of your stuff. The world has changed. You know. Go. Yeah, that's fun.
Which actually, that's also a cool fucking, like, that's
Yeah, it's
a
a
really
cool show.
idea.
Yeah,
That is a cool show.
I could go off on a. I feel like a good subject that we should. Someone remember this and submit it for the next time non-effort comes round. But like doing an evil campaign, you know, in
Yeah.
general, just that conversation.
Yeah, I would like to explore an evil campaign.
There's it's that's another one that I think is
It's
like
weird, but
massive pros and cons list.
Kinda
But
cool. Right, exactly.
segueing over to character deaths. Thank you for the tips, everyone. By the way, every time the bar hits the next tip thing, we unlock the next subject. We don't immediately change to it, but it just means that we unlock another subject and we don't just keep talking about the same thing over and over again. But really, it's just an excuse for us to ask you politely, Wax Stephen, to give us your fucking money, because the channel is drowning and we're dying. But politely, anyway. Thank you very much. We
Politely
appreciate it.
drowning.
Yeah, which
Please save us.
yeah.
Hey, help me!
Please, please. I don't mean to be a bother. Excuse me. Could you throw that ring into the water? Into the water. All right. This question is from Crastian6. Sorry to hear about Crastian 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. By the way, but you know, this is really the only way you get cloned into existence. Not sure if fun questions, but I was wondering about these. And the first one is, how do you deal with character deaths, your own and or players? There is a couple of follow-up things to this, but let's just hold it there. How do you deal with character deaths, your own and your players? Now, this we have sort of vaguely touched on before. In general, we've said that it's hard to do. There's a certain time in which it just doesn't feel comfortable to do it, and there is an element to quite a lot of this where it's not a home game if you're running a show and you've like paid for artwork and shit, you know, and there are people that are invested in character arcs like they're watching a TV show. Like if you were just watching a Daredevil and he just died in episode 8 and there were 13 episodes of the run, and you're just watching the other characters, you'd be like, this is fine, but I kind of hate this, which makes it a little awkward sometimes. And I know that in the past, when we've gotten past a certain point in a show, I'm like, these characters are kind of immortal because I'm not having them roll whole new characters up for the finale. You know, they've earned their spot in this finale. I'll probably just give them a little plot armor or something. So I know that I think we spoke about this a bit, me, you, and PB. But Myth, for a fresh take.
How do you know it's going to be fresh?
I don't. I just your brain is fucking abnormal, so it's a good bet.
It's terminal. So the I'm kidding. The take that I have is I like character death. It changes story and shifts it in a way where it also it's hard because there's not many games where I have GM'd character death, and maybe that's just because I'm too nice, but I'm one of the players who are like, kill my character, because there is a part of me that plays to I look at my character sheet and everything on it is something I can use to survive. Even throwing birdseed or whatever at someone in combat. because it needs to be a stake in the story. If my character feels too overpowered, I'm not having fun. If I feel like my character is the star of the show and its plot has plot armor, I'm not having fun. Yes, character art and production is a thing, but I really
No, we know, Myth. We know.
it's me. I'm the reason why. I'm the reason why we're drowning is because we keep needing to request new art from me, and
new microphones and
microphones,
XLRs
and new Go XLRs because for some reason this is still fucked. But
For some reason, his microphone is and coaxial are covered in flour. Definitely doesn't have anything to do with why they might be a little
didn't think of
wonky.
that. But definitely not it. But for those of you who don't know, I play the Changeling and I put flour in my hair every episode. So the
And at the end, you went
yeah.
like this.
There's a gif. There's
I'm
a gif where
why did you do that?
it's called
I
role
didn't
playing.
think about it.
Yeah, it's called role playing.
It's called role playing.
So it's called being funny. Anyway, so my take is, I don't know, like it's hard because there's I have a lot of little reasons for how good it can be. There needs to be. I love RP theory, so I can talk about this forever, and I love talking about all this stuff. So
that's
so
exactly why we're
buckle up.
here. So yeah,
buckle up. So I feel like when role playing is really it can come easier when you have reason to play character, and if your character is the hero, which is usually the case in Dungeons and Dragons, because Dungeons and Dragons is a very heroic system, and I feel that things can get super dull if there isn't stakes. Game of Thrones would be a really crappy show if no one died. If there was no conflict, it would be if there was no because of the deaths of the people and because of the pseudo tragedy that it started to turn into, really made us get to cheer for those who weren't heroic in the beginning and then became heroic, like the Hound, who had a cool character arc, and all of these other characters had really cool character arcs. There is so much growth that can happen from a character death. Even in tarot cards, death doesn't mean end. When they pull the tarot, it usually just means change, which really does affect those who are still around. So there's been a couple of shows and games that I've had characters that have passed, and I've had a wonderful time coming back with new character and also seeing how the story would pan out if things were shaken up. Sometimes there is too much of a one dimension of everybody becoming. It's almost like if everybody gets too comfortable, something needs to shake it up. And especially in a heroic setting where you are constantly scaling and getting new spells and doubling your hit points and all this stuff. And
Power creep. Like Dragon Ball Z creep. And and something that can really, whether or not it's on the character sheet where my character just keeps getting stronger and stronger, something that could really change or shutter or even adjust a character's path is something like this character change or even character death. I played in a game when we played Rime of the Frost Maiden. One of my characters was offed, and
changed the direction of our paladin in the party. And like that wouldn't have happened if that. So it's like there is still, and this is like something that can be something that doesn't necessarily need to be planned. You don't need to be like, hey, I'm gonna kill this character off, because that when my characters go, I'm not there. It's not a thing until it sort of happens. I go, okay, I guess it's happening, and then I've got like this weird week where I feel this remorse because I've killed my character, in mourning. But it's always been something that is cool to watch as like, I don't know. I just think they're like, in a heroic game like D&D, there needs to be stakes. And sometimes I feel like people come in and make these characters, and they want to have a character that won't die.
Let me put you into a scenario.
Yes.
You're the GM.
Okay.
Things don't need to be shaken up necessarily. You know, everything's just, you're just running a run-of-the-mill session. They're just traveling from between a town. They do a random encounter. They're sleeping, and then you're like, something attacks you. There's 4 kobolds.
Yep.
They're like level 5. They should be fine. They start rolling natural 1 after natural 1 after natural 1. One of them goes down. Kobold, you know, this guy's like bleeding out.
Just
Everyone's
horrible.
like, this would be the lamest death. This is so shit of a death for this character. This is just a random fucking forgettable, you know, part of the thing. Then that character rolls their final death save and they, you know, die.
GMing?
You're GMing. You allow it. You allow that to happen. You change it up. You just go with it.
I go with it.
You go with it.
I go
The
with
person,
it, 'cause then
the person sitting there is
livid, crying.
You can tell they actually hate you out of game now.
Yeah, right. Okay.
You still do it?
There could always be. So let's say we're in a show.
Because this has happened to every DM.
After the show, I would have a conversation, be like, okay, so what are we doing? And how are you feeling about this? Is this okay? Blah blah blah. Or we can be like, okay, you were captured or something. Because when it comes to death too, it doesn't necessarily need to be like, okay, the fight was lost. Because you failed your death save doesn't necessarily mean they have to die. You could just say they're taken out, and then after, behind the scenes, or not even at the table, doesn't even need to be a show, not at the table, maybe between sessions, you could have a discussion with the player, and they're like, I really wanted to see this character get to level 15 because of X, Y, and Z, and I just really love this character. Okay. And then maybe there's something needs to happen. Maybe they lose an arm and they get their arm replaced, or something where it's like maybe a scar, or something that can now change them, instead of just being like, nothing's happened, I died from these kobolds, just kidding, I was captured, everything's fine. And it's a separate side quest. But maybe they lose an eye and now they have an eye patch, but they have a story and a reason to now, it's a pivot point. It doesn't necessarily need to be, I guess we're back to that death card from tarot, right? It just doesn't need to be death the end. It could be a change where it's really it's up to the DM and also the players. If the players really love this character, or the player really wants this character still, there can be other ways your character can still take on a loss and still have the it doesn't necessarily be okay, you lose a level. You could do that. I don't know if that's worse. Be like, okay, you can either die or lose a level, which could be kind of cool. But I just think there are ways you can still sort of, what's the word? You can scar their character, whether it is having losing an eye, or losing an ear or something, because now they have that
Again,
story. You're
there's
like, oh, this one time that
There's
I
lots
got.
of systems that have that integrated into it. Like
Yeah,
where
like there's like one time I got jumped by kobolds at night, and then they'd be like, "Kobolds, wow, that's embarrassing." Or you could lie about it and say it was a dragon. But now you have this disfiguration or something. Maybe magic isn't the same for you anymore, or something that has sort of pivoted your character in a different way. It doesn't necessarily need to be bad, but something has happened. Because I think if there is death, like let's say failing death rolls, and then it's never mind, just kidding, didn't happen. Seems super cheesy. Whether it is like I don't know, because like that's those that's sort of in the system. Then why even play with death at all?
What if it's super underwhelming? Like it's so the death is going to be the most underwhelming thing ever.
How do you imagine that happening?
Purely just by chance. Like it is, they're going from
quicksand
main quest. They just fought one of the big bads. They rest and they're traveling now to the next
you have a
big
trap
bad.
and you die from a trap.
And one of them banana peel just falls over, cracks their neck, fails 3 death saves.
I've had some pretty crazy deaths. I've had some
but it's like
crazy
it just feels underwhelming. You know you can feel it out. I'm too cinematic. This is one of the reasons I'm doing side quests is because I'm like, I need to dial it back in and go a bit more. This is my DM training. I'm going back to school with it and trying to do something that's more orthodox.
Yeah.
But like sometimes it's just like, this is just incredibly underwhelming. Like compared to the things that these characters have done, they've had this amazing heroic journey of doing all these like epic moments and things. And then they just die to like 2 kobolds on the road. It just seems so out of
my thought on
place.
That.
Yeah.
Here's my thought on that. I think even the most underwhelming character deaths can be spun into something really cool. I think you can spin them after the fact, where you really hit the emotions after this character dies in an a not so dramatic way. You can spin it. You spin it and really showcase the hurt and like everybody's a bit bewildered that it just happened, because in reality there's a lot of underwhelming deaths that people that happen to people.
Oh god, if I had my way, the way that I would kill characters in stuff, I mean, bear in mind I'm just positing these things to you. You know, for me the most interesting episodes of any show I've ever watched have been episodes where characters are on death saves, not even dead yet. But like that's when you're like, oh my god, oh fuck, they're gonna fucking. There's stakes are in it. You're like, they're just running through their turn order. He hits him, his HP goes down. When they're on death saves, and it looks like they're like the cleric's down, and you're like, fuck. That's the most. I'm like, on the popcorn. I'm like, oh, this is so great. Kill him. Like I love it. I also just love realism like that. I'm a big fan of like, a character's walking along and that character is never in the show again because they just got taken out, because that's what death is. Death is probably not mostly unexpected, but this kind of death, most people probably just die of old age, but a true to life death, even if it's from something that isn't just like you get shot in the back of the head, is unexpected.
Heart attack, brain aneurysm.
It's coming to get you. And something happens like that and it's shocking, and that shock is part of it. That is much more interesting to me as a storyteller, but I'm not writing a book. I am in charge of a group of people and 2 of them are pissed off with me. This feels incredibly underwhelming. The show is going to suck now because that was the best character in it because it was being played by Orca. She's the best role player.
Right.
These kind of like they're like little things. I haven't done this too many times with like a show, but it's just a point that I want to throw in just because I do think, it's a thing that you take into account. I'm not a fan of just like outright fucking killing a character just for the shock value or whatever, but I actually would do it if it was a novel I was writing, for sure. Because I think it's super interesting. You're right. It is one of the best things that you can do, I think, in terms of a narrative and to shake things up, is to just be like, that one's dead. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
It slipped on a
Changes
banana
everyone's
peel.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone goes, oh, this is okay. We gotta take things seriously, and that's happened a couple of times. Like
I've told you in SideQuest I'm actively trying to kill you all, by the way.
yeah, and I am open and willing and almost like what is it? I'm like
Hopeful.
prepared and convinced that my character will probably.
Your character has plot armor. I'm not going to kill him.
You say that now. I'm gonna do everything I can.
What
to help
about
you.
if a player comes to you and says, "Please don't ever kill my character"?
Ooh, that's a good. That's a
Yeah.
good.
I've had
point.
that. I've had that once.
Yeah, I would say okay. Well, but then what are the stakes? Like something bad has to still happen. You know, like okay, that's
It's honestly a really good question.
yeah.
I think for me, if somebody came up with that to me, I would
So you're out of
say
the show.
I would say okay. Well, like it depends on when it would happen. Did
You
we
know,
already start the show? You know, like did we already
Right.
start the show when this question come? I would have
The
been
one
like, you
time
should have
it's
told
been
me.
asked to me,
beforehand.
they did say pre-show.
This is hard too
So-
because we're answering from a show running perspective.
Right.
Currently,
That's a
but I
big-
mean-
that is a
Right.
big factor.
Yeah.
I would say that I would probably address it just like what you said, Myth. I would say, well, listen, your you need to be threatened. You need to be threatened. There has to be some bad thing that happens to motivate you to, you know,
To even do this,
to act like a rational person. The reason that we act like rational people is because of consequences in all effect.
Yeah.
In my opinion, and I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole on a lot of this shit. I think
The most
like,
old guy about to
yeah,
say
like,
some mad shit, out of
well,
pocket
I would-
shit.
I would say
Sentence.
like that's
I don't
why
want to get too
religion
political
exists.
here, but
I know,
in my
that's why
opinion,
that's why religion exists, I think.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Is just like if there's no consequences, then they're all gonna be murder hobos.
Mm.
Because that's just what ends up happening. They're like, in murder hobo thieves. You know, like it'll just be murder hobo thieves. They're gonna go up, they're gonna do shopping, and they're gonna be like, well, I just kill him
Mhm.
because you can't kill me. You know, like okay, well,
I
we'll
now
throw
know
you in
that I
jail.
have plot armor.
Okay, but I'm in jail, so I'm gonna break out of jail. I'm gonna kill all the guards. I mean, like you can't kill all the guards, but you can't kill me. So what are you gonna do? All right, I'll chop off your arms and legs. You know, like it's gonna be like
right.
You almost
know,
have to say like,
Rome.
it's a
you can't
confrontational
die,
relationship
but
again.
I want
Exactly.
it doesn't mean that I can't nerf you. You know, you can't if you equivalents fail death saves,
It
you
would be-
potentially lose a dex point or something. You know, that kind of thing.
it would definitely
Right.
be one of those situations for me. I would approach it just like you said, Meth. I would say, what can we do? And if it felt like, I don't know, like if I don't want it to ever feel like a chore, you know what I mean?
Right.
So like if this person is like telling me how to run the game, I don't know if I want to run them in the game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
if it's going to be a problem, we're probably just a bad fit. That's not saying that you're a bad person.
Right.
I'm just saying not everybody wants to play the same game. That's
There
okay.
are so many styles. Yeah.
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 But there's to be fair, there's different reasons that someone would suggest. Like there are people that are like, don't kill my character because they're clearly just trying to win D&D, and then there are people that are like, you know, this. To be honest, I think if I had to even role play out my character dying, it would be potentially triggering or something, and like that would be
That's
a genuine reason.
Different situation.
And then there are
Yes.
people that are like, I will grow attached to this character, and I just don't want them to die. And you know, in that situation, I would be like, then you have to allow me to nerf them. And in the situation where they're like,
Right.
even if they're trying to power game and they're like, look, this is the way I want to play, I would probably still be like, that's fine. But if you are, you know, grievously injured to the state where it would be the equivalent of death, you're going to lose a leg. I'm going to knock 2 dex points off you, you know, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And then you just have to kind of do that thing that you have to do sometimes with people who are a bit more power gamey, where it's a bit of a tug of war, push and pull until you come to a compromise. But yeah, in the situation that I had, I was quite a green GM, and I just said okay because I just didn't question it.
Right.
I didn't really know why they wanted it to be that way.
DMX
It didn't feel
Machina
like a
every
power gamey
session.
thing, but I wasn't sure. I didn't know them that well.
Right.
I got the sense by the end of it, it was more just that they're the type of person who becomes very attached to their characters, and if their character died, it would be like a pet death to them. You know, it's the same level of like, this just would hurt me too much. So they were kind of okay with the nerfing approach. I don't think I had to worry. I don't think anything like there was no death. It's been a while since I've killed someone that was non-scripted. We had one scripted death in Rota.
Right.
But yeah, it's been a while.
I usually make it a point when I am running a game to let the players know way beforehand that, like, hey, character death is on the table. Don't make a character that you're really like gonna like. And if you do like grow attached to the character, sorry, like be careful, you know, because I do want to have consequences for action. I do want people to make a choice and then be like, oh crap, I like, oh, is the sword that we want right there in the store? I don't have enough money for it though. I'm just gonna steal it. Okay, well now you're on the run, I guess, right? Okay, yeah, okay, I'm running. Okay, cool. Now the guards are after you, or whatever it is, whatever the story is. But then like consequence for action, right? If I want to run over here and like I had a death where I had a death where my character was cursed because he was greedy about a crystal that nerfed him, and then so much that he thought he was the best. So like he had crazy he thought he was the best at everything he can do. He was convinced that he was better at everything that anybody in the party can do. So it led him to make silly choices like charge in front of and distract a giant riding a mammoth to go after him. And that happened. So it's like that was a consequence of even being cursed. Otherwise, why would it's role playing with a cursed item, but also like making reason for a poor choice, which then leads to shitty. I don't know. I don't know. I think there is, and because I'm just this weirdo immersive escapist role player who really likes to be immersed in a character's thoughts. What would this character do in this situation? What would I do if I was this character in this situation? Cord, Mythematic, I don't have plot armor. So if I was in this character, how would I do what I can to survive? Look at character sheet. Okay, I have a rope. I could use the rope here, but I can't sword fight, but this person needs help. How do I get them? I'm not a caster. I can't heal them. Maybe I will, but I do have this rope. Okay, I'm going to try to lasso them or something. I got really good use rope skill or dexterity. I'm going to try to do that. Okay, cool. Like, I don't know. I just think there's something about it. You need to be running from something. And if there's a villain that is, or an evil or whatever it is, that is like trying to push you or pull you or chase you or lead you through adventure, what is stopping you from doing anything at all at any time? Like, I guess what could be worse than death is being like, okay, you're arrested, and then just showing up to the next session, like I said earlier, where you time skip 50 years, you're all old and back to level 1, or you just role play out you in this jail cell without any choice. And people are like, wow, this really sucks. Be like, well, yeah, you did that. I mean, you're in jail. What do you want? I don't know. I think
It's
there's consequences. So like you can have
so
like a heroic cartoonish type like Disney style game, Pixar game where everything goes really well and all that stuff. But even in like
there's plenty of game systems that again have that stuff built in. There's stuff that's like family friendly. There's stuff that's like they specifically say there are no character deaths in this game. You will effectively just get kicked out of the scene.
That's what Masks
if you're
does,
right.
doesn't it? I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of systems. I don't think
Yeah.
I think Masks has something where it's effectively like you retire, basically.
Right. Yeah, so your character's still alive. Yeah, and like you can still sort of do that. But yeah, I
You
think
can easily do that, yeah.
yeah,
But it
I
does
think
need your right consequences.
consequence, or it's also like it's just a really good, I don't know, narrative. I like chaos. I'm the GM of chaos, but like I like when things are. I like having to say. I like having to turn a mistake into a happy accident. I like trying to. I think you said before. What did you say? You said contextual narrative, Brad. I think was the term you said. I like finding those things. Yeah, I have no idea. Brad doesn't know idea what he says.
I don't know where I am right now. I've had some of
Yeah, who am
PB's
I?
muscle relaxants. I'm floating away.
Yep.
Come on
but
with the chair. He's cooked.
Exactly. I just think I like finding narrative reasons for things happening. I like things being thrown at me and then me having to go, okay, how can we spin this so it's something we could all still tell? I like to say yes and to things that are a challenge. I don't know. Even if it's like, oh, your character's dead, and it's okay, now I gotta make a better one. Or a more fun one, or a character that is purely does poison in a construct in frozen ice world where poison doesn't matter and everyone's immune. But like things like that. Would be,
so pissed off about it. Did it?
been
Knew
5
what he
years.
was doing when he made the character.
yeah.
Unlike Maya, who throws those barbs at me about Cura when I didn't know he was going to play a monk that would be ineffective against undead. And I'd already written the entire campaign 6 months before.
Cordis, I legitimately think you're super salty about
Oh,
it.
dude. You have to let's hash it out right now.
Because
I'm
it
not
was
super
funny
salty.
as
I'm just
shit
like
because
I feel silly because I was like, oh, it's a very cool poisoner
it was
character.
just like, dude, number one, do you think I remember everything's like resistances and like all the
No.
monsters and stuff that
Same.
were
I
still
didn't
left to
either.
go?
I would have like when I thought about it, you went, these are ice things and constructs, and I was like, duh. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. So I like, of course, if I thought about it, yeah. It
Hey,
was more
just
like, oh
bring
man.
them back for side quest when you
I'll
die.
have to. Yeah, I'll just have to bring back. I'll just have to make a poisoner for a different campaign at some point and actually see if it's viable.
It's the
It's
exact
just-
same character, but it has
The
one of
exact same
those set
character.
of glasses and a nose and moustache on, and they just enter into side quests like, hello
Hello.
everyone.
Hi everyone. Is everyone? You got room for one more?
PB asked earlier, what was the most insane, what was the craziest death I've seen?
Yeah. What is it?
Oh God. I've had so many character deaths, and I've said this before, but I legitimately like it's one of the most difficult things to deal with on a show that we do so much production for on Tablestory, because it's like, oh my god, now we have to get more character art. How long is it going to take for the character art? Can we get it done in a reasonable amount of time? Oh shit, this is going to cost us more money.
Oh,
We're
never
already
mind.
over
Whack will
budget.
just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's like, do I actually have the mental faculties to do this myself or no?
No, but I'm gonna do it. Yeah.
I've had some pretty crazy character deaths over the years. I've had the gamut. I've run the whole gamut of different kinds of character deaths. I've had stuff that was very dramatic. I've had stuff that was about as random as you can get. I've had stuff that's just kind of the character gets overwhelmed and dies, you know?
Yeah.
Like I've had a lot of them. The craziest one was before Tablestory, I think. So I had a character that was kind of a fan favorite that the players didn't check any doors. There were no traps on any doors for the majority of the campaign. They don't check any doors throughout the entire campaign. Finally, they run into a door that's trapped. They don't check it. Bad trap on the door. Character gets hurt pretty bad. And combat starts immediately because of the trap. So, basically 3 bad things happen at once. character dies almost instantly. You know, trap goes off, combat, the character gets targeted because they open the door.
Yeah,
They're
horrible
right there.
ingredients for a shitty recipe.
Die right away, you know? And I think also rolled a natural one on like death saves as well.
Perfect.
So it was just a comedy of errors. This character dies right away. So that was probably the most insane death because it was just almost instantaneous. And
You
it
were
was just
GMing?
like, yeah.
How do you feel
How do you deal with it?
player characters? Because I fucking hate it.
How do I
hate it.
feel when
Yeah.
a character dies?
Yeah,
My
what do you
stomach
do?
drops out.
Yeah.
Because it's always this thing in the back of my head where it's like I want people to have agency over their characters as much as I can, and you have to kind of take that away a little bit when the character
It's the first
dies,
time you
right?
truly have to be like,
Yeah.
see ya. Nothing you can do here.
So yeah, my stomach, I mean, it's happened a bunch of times. I am still not used to it, even after I've had it happen a lot. My stomach drops out. There's, my heart immediately starts beating like super fast. I feel terrible. Honestly, I feel terrible.
You know what else
Usually
is tough?
If you see me smiling, like when a character dies, that's nervousness.
Feel nervous. Yeah.
That's me trying to like smile it away. Yeah. It's not me being genuinely happy that the
That's a
characters
mask.
died.
You know, by the
And
way,
people, yeah.
you know when, or at least I think you know when a character is about to die, because the GM goes from like laughing and joking, and for the last like few rounds has been kind of weirdly serious. Or at least that happens to me, man. I'm like, yeah, so you guys, like there's a thing, the thing is coming around the corner, and they're like, haha, around the corner, she'll be coming around and I'm like, they're still laughing, and I'm not laughing at your jokes anymore. I'm just like, it's coming around the corner, and it looks mean, and there are 3 more, and they're like, 3 more? What? 3 more? Okay, there's 3 more of them. They'll be coming around, and I'm like, stop laughing, because you're gonna hate me in like 3 turns. You are fucked here, because you see everything. You're in the Matrix code watching it come down the screen, and you're like, you have not rolled well enough. You're thinking this is a normal combat. I hate it though. I absolutely can't stand, the tough part for me as well is that you're like looking at them and they're sad, and you're like, are they sad because they're good role players, or do they hate me for real?
Right. Yeah.
Are they in the scene being sad, or are they not going to talk to me for the next week or longer? Are they going to secretly harbor this, hold it against me like Myth and the poison thing?
Yeah.
For the rest of my life.
Great whack. Yeah.
And that is one of the worst places for me to be in general ever, because I'm just too much of an anxious person, and I hate that people pleasing, like fucking anxiety that kicks in. I hate killing player characters, especially if it's like someone maybe you don't know as well, I think I'd be very comfortable killing everyone on side quests because they're all good friends of mine,
Right.
most 3 of them. And I'll just leave that.
Let that percolate a little bit. Give
But
everybody a little flex.
it is horrible. It is one of the worst feelings, and I really dislike it. But I mean, I've done it plenty of times, and I just go, this is what is happening to you right now.
Yeah.
You are being shredded alive. I saw
Shredded not alive. I mean, you're
yeah.
dead. Yes, your character's dead.
You know what else sucks
Serious.
is they never get like a final scene, like a TV show, when you're like laying bleeding out and you're like, I love her, because you just die.
That's my thing. When I feel bad about the character death, or when it's like a really abrupt kind of thing that happens, and it's, like after that happened, I come out of it feeling really sad for the player, feeling bad that I had to execute them effectively.
Right.
And then my mind is usually going like, all right, a death is not the end. we can spin this in like a profound way. This is going to be a major story moment, and we can say like, you know, when I've had one of Myth's characters die on a show, we made a big thing about it, or like we have a character funeral or something along those lines, you know?
Yeah.
You really show that the rest of the characters give a shit, and maybe it affects them for the rest of the campaign. Maybe, you know, they're deeply depressed for the rest of the campaign, and that is a major storytelling device that you can use. You know, so it's not an end. It's you can spin that. If you have a bad moment on the show, you can also message or talk to one of your players and say, listen, this is real. Your character is going to die here, but we're going to, you know, don't worry. We're not going to let people forget your character.
Right.
We're going to do something here to make their death important. And how you handle it, I think, will help whatever situation.
A little
is going
DM.
on.
I've had like deaths where they thought they were dead, and I wanted everyone else to think they were dead for a while, and I'll just send the player a little DM and be like, "You're not really dead.
You're not dead.
Breathe," because I know that right now you're sat there like, you know, and I'm like, just so you know, you're actually stable. This is a dream, or you know, whatever is going on. But you're not actually fucking fully dead, so just you're good, because that's a horrible place when you're a player to be in as well, and your character is dying. I mean, I haven't died too many times in character because I'm just really good at playing D&D and I always win. But I've had a horrible character death. I had a character death where straight up the DM did just straight up take away my agency and just fucking killed the character,
like,
and that was a horrible experience.
And your creativity. Yep.
And it was this horrible like just situation, this controlled situation where it was like the DM just came in and went, "You lose," and we went, "Huh?" And we were dead, and it was just a TPK, and we were just like, "This is insane," you know. And it felt personal, and we were like, "What the fuck was that?" And I'm hyper aware of that feeling I felt when I'm killing a fucking player character. Sometimes there have been
learning experience.
Yeah, I'm pretty okay with almost all of my times I've killed characters in terms of I feel pretty justified, like they got to it, they died because of a thing, apart from one. I have one that I wish I could take back because I truly believe it's the reason Denki has never played D&D with us again.
100%.
I want to take that back so badly.
No.
I hate it. I think about it. Hey, I think about it every night of my life.
Oh no.
And I know I will never ever be able to undo that. But you know, I think that some of the problem is I had so many people in Oracle's Rest that when you have that many people that you're GMing for, you stop being able to be so interpersonal with everyone and look at everyone's face and feel everyone out. So you become a big general blob in my head of people who have played D&D forever. You know, I have no fucks to give about killing Wax character because I know he's seen it all and done it all. But like, I had a guy who had never played before, and I put him in front of a puzzle that was pulled out of Tomb of Annihilation and just put in front of a door, and he had no concept of that and just had no idea that things can insta-kill you with no, you know. And essentially he went up to this thing and was like, I investigate it, and touched it, and I was like, you're dead. That's what it does. And the point of the thing is that it comes from a meat grinder dungeon. To just pluck that out of a thing and put it into another dungeon is unfair, one, because if you're playing Tomb of Annihilation, you know what you're in for. If you're playing your campaign and you just grab a thing from a meat grinder and put it into your campaign, you're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. Now, this was the door to the boss encounter that half of the party died in the next week. The dragon. But
the foreshadow.
Yeah, so it was like, the point was it was supposed to be this incredibly powerful door because this dragon is like, you ain't coming into my house. Get the fuck out. It's my crib. You know? No way. So there's supposed to be this like insanely
You got a
dangerous
treasure hoard in here. What's wrong with you?
I placed it there knowing that everyone in the party knew what the fuck they were doing and that they wouldn't just walk up and touch an enchanted door. They would do investigation checks and perception checks. They would check for traps and wires and all this stuff. And the one guy who was the first one to interact with this door is the guy who has never played D&D before and isn't thinking like that and just walked up to it and touched it. And I looked at the rules and was like, you're dead. And what I should have done, and I didn't, was go, okay, make me a check, make me a thing, make me a con save, you know, whatever. And just giving him the benefit of the doubt. If Whack had done it, dead. Myth had done it, dead. You know, straight up. But I didn't. I just went, these are what the rules say. Because I was just doing this thing on the weekend half-assed. You know, I wasn't running it like one of our shows. I wasn't trying as hard. And I wasn't thinking. I was just doing this for my friends so we could hang out. And I fucking killed him. And he was like, what the fuck? This, you know, and he's kind of a mechanical player too. So it's even worse when you're a mechanical kind of player and you're like, I don't have anything on this character sheet that I don't even understand yet to stop this. You can just kill me. This is bullshit. Fuck this game. I uninstalled it. And I hate it. I hate everything about it. I know exactly what I did and why I did it. And I understand why I did it, but I still hate it so much. And if I could take it back, I would. It's the one character death I will never, ever get over.
You'll never forget.
I'll never forget it.
Do you have any myth that you can remember that were just like super traumatic or like?
Yeah, I was.
Or any that you regret?
Yeah, I was. I think it was. So when I first started to learn D&D back like when I was 12, we were playing Sunless Citadel, which is the 3.5, it was third edition module, but the GM that we were playing with was
Definitely heard of that one.
Yeah, it was definitely he was all about character death. So I think that's probably why I've learned to I became more comfortable with character death, where I'm like, oh, this just happens. So like my first couple of characters, my first character died to a dragon priest, and there was a TPK because we pushed open a coffin and this troll zombie came out and wiped us out. And for the next 3 or 4 characters, we did the same sort of thing, where we would go down and we would die to the dragon priest every time. There was so much more to that campaign. I never got to understand what it was because we always went down that path. Now it was like an out of character 12-year-old revenge story of my new character needs to go and kill that guy. We never did. It doesn't matter. But I then ran it later with some of my friends from high school, and my friend who played a lot back then like I do now, where instead of attacking the Hydra and cutting off its head and whittling down the Hydra, he will climb up the cliffside and try to find a boulder that'll crush him. Versus what is around me? What can I do? Versus being instead of he thinks outside the box, and that bothered me because I was I was 15 or whatever I was doing, and we ran Sunless Citadel, and I remember specifically me running that dragon priest encounter, the one that I have lost so many characters to, and he was doing everything right, but I was just annoyed at him, just out of character, annoyed that his character was just too perfect. He was using the rules as you should. He was thinking outside the box, and I had to think on my feet, and I just was not enjoying it. And I my character, we had a tank type character that was taking taunting and doing their best to I'm defending against this creature, while the healer character was to his side. Or Rogue or whatever was getting flanking. I think that's what it was. Rogue was getting flanking, and he was saving up for a backstab. Anyway, came to be my turn. My character, the dragon priest, turns over and just goes in on this Rogue, where there was no narrative reason or mechanical reason for the dragon priest, this encounter, this monster, to just turn and attack this guy. And I remember him being so pissed at me, and then maybe being like, "Yeah, take that, you cheater." And and then like later when I started to like we had conversations about this was like right when we first started to like get to know one another. Later we became best friends and we went out backpacking and stuff, and we always spoke about role playing and storytelling, and he wrote a book and I got to read it, and like we became really good friends. And that's when I learned, oh, he just plays this game outside of the box, and that is a way cooler way to play it. Yeah. And I learned a lot from that moment of being like, I just tried to punish someone for thinking less simplistically than I was GMing. You know, where I was like, no, you're just supposed to attack me. You're just supposed to attack me so I can kill everybody. And I like bent the rules and mechanics so I can just like take out my like annoyance of the player and the character for no reason. And that was sort of like an out of character. Yeah, that was the worst death I've probably ever like done, because I was like, wow, this, like later I look at it and I'm like, what an immature
all
little
learning
crap I was.
pain, like growing pains.
Exactly.
Man.
Yeah.
We all need practice.
We all need practice to go, oh yeah, you don't do that.
You don't load up the game. You know, it's like Brad jokes about all the time on his stream. You know, you get somebody that's played a game for 10,000 hours, and they come into your stream and they're like, "How come you're not doing this right?" Like, what? Because I've got 1 hour in the game.
I don't know what's
It's the same for everything in life. You need to practice a thing to be good at it. Are there more talented people than others? Sure, that shit happens. Sometimes you pick stuff up really quick, but everything is a learning experience. So, from somebody that has many, 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 many hours GMing now, don't be so hard on yourself. You're going to make mistakes. I've made plenty of mistakes. Like, it's okay. Try and learn from them and get better. That's it. That's all you can do.
We do have another subject, but I would like to say that I disagree with you. There was no excuse for what I did to Denki, and I will never get over it.
No excuse for what
I knew what I was doing by then.
Yeah, right.
I tell you what I do. I tell you what the real problem.
Brad, me too. Haha.
The real problem is when you have a group of. We really should change the subject, but we've been on death for so long. But the one of the problems, just as a spin off this, that I think about a lot is this is why I don't actually like really GMing for mixed groups, like in terms of of experience. So I like it when my whole group have never played D&D or haven't played a lot, because I will treat them like babies. I will never put something like that. That's where Denki was in that group. And then you had like Mergs, who was a bit of a midway point at that point. She sort of like had played a few sessions with us, and we had a couple of people who had played a few. And then we had like hardcore ancient DMs and fucking people who'd played everything ever and knew what they were talking about. And that mixed group there is hard to GM for.
Hard to gauge,
because you're just putting stuff in front of them and going, well, you're going to be fine with this, but you forget. Whereas if you said to me, Brad, GM this for these 3 people, they've never played D&D before, the experience, the way that I would GM would be so different, you know? And if you give me 4 people who have played loads of it, or 4, even if you give me 4 players versus giving me 4 GMs, if you put 4 GMs of D&D 5e in front of me, I'm going to run it so differently to 4 completely new people. And that was one of the problems as to what happened to me that day, and the worst mistake I've ever made in D&D in my entire life.
How many fucking people there that day too, bro? You got like
all of them. It was people? It was like a full 12, 13 people in that one.
There's only so much you can do.
It was, I know. I know how it happened.
D&D experience ruined forever.
Absolutely.
But
I know. Look, I don't actually beat myself up about it too much, but I do hate it, because it's like, you know, you can see it's like being in a road accident. You know what you were doing, and it was like, you just afterwards you see the path that you took so clearly to the mistake, and it kills you with the hindsight.
Hit the rabbit. You saw it run out. You could have swerved. You didn't.
Denki's little Kenku fucking flew out in front of the truck, and I just went.
You remember, dude? Denki got a Kenku outfit.
No, don't. We have to move on. We actually have to move on. I can't.
He would
That was the character?
It was the
No,
middle
we have to
of
move on. We
summer.
actually have to move on because people have been paying
It was the
money.
middle of summer, and Denki was sweating like crazy.
Yeah,
he
mate,
actually
this was
passed
different.
out
Having a
during
panic
a
attack.
session.
The worst is honestly my number one worst DMing mistake
Wait a
of
minute,
all
wait a
time.
minute,
I'll never get one worse than that.
I'll talk about a really bad one that I had. Okay, talk about a really bad one that I had. So, I was a player. It was a really big game, and yeah, we had lots of players. And there was one
I'm sweating,
guy.
by the way.
He
I'm
was a Kenku.
sweating.
He was a Kenku. He didn't really know what he was doing. No, no. I had another one that was really bad because I had a really narcissistic player in my game, and the player was like, "I'm going to make an evil character," and I was like, "Okay, but just keep this in mind. Don't go full Joker. Don't do that." Because why are you there?
Yeah, no one likes it. No one wants it.
You can never justify why that character is there unless they have a fucking unless they're an awesome role player and they've got like crazy backstory and shit, and like they've got this master plan that they've come
actually
up with.
calculated, right?
Yeah, you have to be really fucking good to pull this off, in my opinion. Don't do that. And I gave him a heads up.
Yeah.
Didn't fucking listen to me, was just such an ass the entire time. Literally was like drawing dicks on stuff and like
I apologized for it, okay, and I've never done it since.
I haven't done it.
was just like but like managed to not be funny and do it, bro.
Oh, it wasn't me, okay,
yeah.
because I'm hilarious.
It's always funny when I do it.
And like was just acting crazy, like crazy. We had a situation where it was a scary situation. They walk up to a front door of a scary place, okay? Scary place, walk up to a front door, initiate conversation with a night hag, okay, that is wearing a normal person's face, right? They're having a conversation. This person is like, I'm gonna run right into the main front door while they're having this conversation. I'm gonna run up the stairs in stealth. How are you gonna do that?
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna press
So-
the key on my hotbar that makes me vanish.
Yeah, so I'm just like, what are you talking about?
Save's
so
coming.
they do this thing. They like run in, and I'm like, yeah, you aggroed everything.
Yeah.
They effectively trigger a TPK because it's a coven of night hags, and they're horrific when they're a coven. They're like extra bad.
Yeah.
So yeah, wipes the whole party. Like everybody's pissed off. So like, what do you do in that situation? Could I have gotten him out of it? Maybe, but like at that point, it's like I think we need a fresh start.
I think we need to understand.
Yeah, I think we
consequences of
need a fresh start. So what I ended up doing was I actually talked to the other players that were in the game, and I was like, listen, I think I'm going to boot this person because. I mean, am I wrong? Was that ridiculous? No, they're like, I want them gone. Like that was
such
ridiculous.
a horrible situation to be in as well. It sucks so much. What is it about being the DM where you're the dad as well for some reason?
Yeah.
Like no matter whoever's the DM is in charge of fucking everything. You have to get them there on the time. You have to make this, and you've got to make their blah blah blah. And you've got to be. If someone doesn't want them in the group, you're the one that has to tell them to leave. And it's like all that kind of stuff. It just falls for some reason to the DM. You become dad.
Oh, yeah.
And it's I hate that position.
I have been referred to as a dungeon daddy, and now I get it.
Well, actually, the reason that we call you that is
It's a
little
different
different,
reason, buddy.
we can get into that after this next question.
Okay.
Because thank you very much for the tips, everyone. It doesn't immediately like change the question or whatever, but it just unlocks the next topic for us to
Oh, everyone, shut up! We got a new question.
chat about. And we've been on death for a long time. And honestly, we have to make a lot of money tonight because we have to pay for Myth's appearance fee, and we got him at a discount rate for side quests because he has a filter on, but when we're just using his face,
My image. Yeah.
just complete his actual face, the price goes.
Do you want me to turn the filter on?
It's
That'd be
nuts.
easier.
Well, your agent said that the only reason that you would agree to this is that you wouldn't wear the filter. Hey, there he is.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, hi guys. I can't do it.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone.
So I've got two questions that are kind of similar, so we'll blam them into one. Druidic dwarf and they're very separate. Now Meister both put in similar questions that I thought were close enough in that we would cover them both. What D&D class is most appealing to you? / could you see yourself being if it was real? And then also similarly, just to bung it all into the same thing from now, if you could have the powers and abilities of any Tablestory character in real life, whose powers would you want? I think these are similar questions. So once more, what D&D class is most appealing to you, and could you see yourself being if it was real first, and then we'll kind of blend that into the next part.
Arcane Trickster. Easy.
I think I'd probably have to be something shitty like that too. It's just a shitty little chaos bastard fucking thing that can stab people as well.
I don't even
What
know if I would.
capacity do you mean? Is this just
Well, I mean,
class that you want to play the most?
well,
Or are
I
you
guess.
talking about, like-
right. That's
Yeah,
true.
I mean, what D&D class is most appealing to you, and what D&D class could you see yourself being if it was real, are different. I think.
Right.
What one do you naturally think
Gravitate
you would
towards?
fit? Rather than would you choose? Like not would you train into, but what do you think you would be
I would
like
choose Arcane Trickster,
sorting hatted by?
but I would probably be multi-class Bard Artificer.
For sure, you would be multi-class because you have no control over that.
Right, that's true.
You'd have like
And I would
6
have the odd
multi-class.
Yeah, that's true. I would not be able to choose, and I
You'd
would
be
have
every
all the
class.
classes. Yeah, I'd be every class, and I would
One level in
never
every class.
have any specialties because I'd be spread thin on so many things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think based on combat, on how I fight in real life or how I used to fight. I haven't been in a fight in years. It would be some sort of psychotic fighter rogue. I'd be Tyther. I mean, he was as close to me as I've played probably ever anyway. I play a lot of characters that are similar to me because it's hard for me not to. I'm not a good enough actor. But you agreed with that.
I agree. No,
I fully agree with that.
Yeah, uh-huh.
But it's the only thing, like, just in real life. And I just don't know if, like, because, like, bards they either have some sort of, like, musical talent, which I don't really have, or they have, like, charisma. I'm not saying I don't have the ability to be charismatic, but it's not my type of charisma. My charisma is like roast battle comedy. Maybe I could
think that
do.
would qualify as a bard in my
I could do a
head.
roast
bard.
battle bard,
Yeah.
maybe,
It's a bard,
with the cutting words
Yeah.
and
Well, Iridir was a storytelling bard.
right. So, but I think that's what I mean. I think if I'm not a roguish
Bard
fighter
of College
type,
of Satire.
it would
College of-
be some sort of rogue, a bard of cutting words and vicious mockery type, bard based thing. That's where I think I land in terms of if the sorting hat put me into a class.
Right.
If I could
You
pick
could
one,
probably
I'd
all
probably
fit into some sort of bard, though.
now I would. If
I
I could
guess,
pick one, I'd pick
right?
just like a wizard. I think, just to be honest,
Yeah.
because I just would love to be able to be like, oh, mage hand, make dinner.
Yeah.
Fuck every,
Unseen servant.
everyone's pissing me off. Cone of cold. Become ice. Fuck off. Just god. Wizards are gods at level 20. It's unreal. They have every utility. They can do everything. They have power. You can get near to me. If I had wizard powers in real life, you become an alpha predator, and I would become the villain of the world within seconds. I would become an unstoppable force, and I would enslave this planet.
And this is why Ty doesn't have any magic, right?
Yeah, this is why I have anxiety. It's God keeping me down. Just fucking. He was like, "You need to be scared of everything. Stay indoors."
What do you think What do you think would be mine?
I think Whack 2025, not as much. Whack up until a few years ago, barbarian. Barbarian rage. 100%. And also, you can't turn it off with a bonus action or when you don't take damage. He has to just drink a whole glass of water or it stays on. Now it would probably be, I don't know, probably what's like an int whiz based thing. It's kind of, there isn't really one, is there?
Wizard or it'd be wizard or artificer. Dex and int is artificer.
Right, you got, I don't know if you do any like artificing, do you do any DIY or stuff? Because you're artificy with
he's artificing.
Building stuff in engineering things like Blender and learning shit like being good at OBS. Stupid as that sounds.
Yeah. No, like, that is I feel like artificing.
Yeah. It's like graphic design, I guess, isn't it?
The ability to learn and create using and having tools to create something.
Yeah.
Help tell or do magic with, I think was.
Yeah, I think I would be somewhere in between artificer and wizard.
Smith. Yeah. So basically, I'm Ty and you're Smith.
Yep.
Here we are.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I wonder what PB would be. I wonder what she would be.
A paladin?
Yeah.
A paladin?
Paladin.
As far as what I would like to have power-wise, this is like one of those questions that I dream about all the time, like, and I never have a solid answer. I feel like the altruistic answer that I would have is a druid, which is weird because I hate druids. When players pick druids, I'm like, oh god.
And that's why.
This is gonna do so much more work. Oh my god. It's that
the actual like genuine breath of like, oh thank fuck when no one picked a druid in side quest. It's actually weird just to dial back to the deaths. It's one of the reasons I don't want to kill any of them is that it brings in that risk that they might roll up a druid.
Yeah.
I'm so scared.
I think so that's the altruistic answer where I would do good things. I would just try to do good things.
Also, as a druid, like, I mean, I consider druid a little bit as well because you can just command animals and just be like, that scene in Ace Ventura where it's like, come to me, and they all fucking...
It would be that, and like,
my God.
I'm just gonna fix the fucking environment, dude. I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna fix
keep casting that fucking grow grass spell that they have.
Yeah, plant growth. I'm gonna cast plant growth, you know, and I'm gonna fucking create water and, you know, do all that shit. But then I think about like, everybody's gonna try and abuse that. Everybody's gonna fucking, you know, every major corporation's gonna be like, no, you know, like,
and that's why you gotta pick wizard.
Drop a nuke. Yeah,
this wizard. You can just reality.
So I think about that
salad again. Yay!
And then I think like I love playing clerics, but I hate the like religious attachment.
Right.
So I wouldn't do that.
You can be a
cleric of the arcane. Oh no, that wasn't.
You can be an atheist cleric.
Yeah. I don't think that's how that works, but sure.
You can do. Like
be that or like, that or like
wisdom sorcerer,
wizard. I think it'd be that or a wizard.
I don't know how you don't pick wizard. I'll be honest. It's just unbelievable how OP that would be in the real world.
I feel like sorcerer would be OP.
It's a wizard, but with an element of random to it. But you get your power naturally, I guess.
Yeah. You don't have to study, so you could be a dummy sorcerer. You can be just a beautiful dummy sorcerer.
Yeah.
Right. Is that a better? You know, probably that's a better way to live. If you're like real dumb.
Yeah.
You don't have to
I
worry
guess it
about
depends
half
though,
the shit.
because if you have like wild magic in the real world, that would suck, dude.
Yeah.
You're just waiting in line
plants.
at the grocery store and cast fireball on an old lady 10 feet away.
Yeah.
You know, you just...
Whoops.
Oh, sorry guys. It's my bullshit going off again.
Sorry, that's why I'm at the grocery store, because I can't do plant growth forever.
Yeah, I mean, what about the second part of this? Let me bring it up again. If you could have the powers and abilities of any table story character in real life, whose powers would you want? Because this changes my answer a little bit. Because
This changes everything.
yeah, this is tough. Because there's far more powerful characters. Like we haven't. Has anyone run a level 20 campaign? We've had touches on level 20 moments, but
Not seriously. Like when I was in middle school, I did, and it was a lot.
so we don't have any level 20 wizards to pull from. I think the most powerful character I might have played was Erufia, because he just became a reality warping god, I think, pretty much, sort of. I don't know. Only PB knows at this point. But he had no, the whole point of his character is he had no couldn't feel anything. He was like Manhattaned up. He was just, doesn't know, can't feel love, you know. So that's like, do I want that? Yeah, do I want to be that kind of, if I could have that power, does it come with that stipulation? In which case, no, I'll just take, I don't know,
Powers. Doesn't have to be our
Polonculus,
own character,
I guess.
right?
Polonculus's powers. Become
Doesn't have to
Polonculus.
be. I don't think it has to be our characters.
Yeah, I'll still take Polonculus. It's just the closest to Superman there is. I don't know what.
And it's just powers, right? It doesn't. It's not any of the baggage
Doesn't have to be
that goes
the
along.
Well, I don't know.
the
Yeah, I mean,
character.
it says if you could have the powers and abilities of any table store character in real life, whose powers would you want?
If it's none of the baggage, that's important too.
Yeah.
Because
I'm not-
like I feel
I'm not
like
risking.
when you pick like Polonculus, Polonculus has some baggage.
Yeah, no. If I have to deal with the whole legacy thing, I'm just like, no, maybe I can't be bothered. But yeah, I mean, that's what
You
I mean.
have a
like,
reverse legacy in real life.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know.
It's
Just-
like-
just fucking spin. I have to learn a whole
you
new.
you have to try not to be like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if I just get the powers, I mean, he's invincible. He can fly. He has a little bit of super speed, I think, and he has the Cyclops fucking beams. So I'll go with that. You know, I don't know if that's beatable by any D&D character, apart from maybe like, some of our wizards and sorcerers that got strong in our campaigns. But
I think I would want the powers of Flesh Lemon.
yeah,
That's
100%.
probably
Flesh lemons.
the character.
Which
would
I
do,
believe his
yeah.
power was being able to literally just spit lemon or something.
Yeah, he just secreted lemon juice.
Yeah.
I think that was his. Yeah, he would just make existing wounds worse. I think.
How did that character even come to be, dude? How did
I
you
just made it up,
summon
and
that
I
up?
just
I genuinely
hyper-focused
believe
on
it
it.
was just that you said the word flesh lemon, and we were
You
like,
said Flesh
that
Lemon, and you
is
said Flesh
something
Lemon as an NPC. and
that
I
we want to
was
keep
just, like,
saying. I just
passing-
want to keep saying that.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And the only way to
Just
keep
in
saying
passing,
that
I was
is
like, that's
to-
hilarious, and then I just wanted to play that character.
Yeah, get him,
Yep.
get him going.
Yep. That was one. I was like, oh, that character's great. To
Yeah.
be played by Danny DeVito.
There's a couple of
Yeah, and-
characters that have good names like that. That I would, Unlimited Blood. I so
Unlimited
badly want to write a comic just so I can have a comic that is called Unlimited Blood. I would buy that shit so badly. If it was 1996, I'd be in there day one in that comic store. Unlimited Blood issue 1's out, and everyone's like, I've never heard of it. What is that? Is that Image Comics? You're like, no, it's
a dude
just
with a
some
iron
guy.
deficiency.
Michael Dudikoff is Unlimited Blood. Michael Dudikoff was still relevant in the 90s, right?
I thought you made that name up. Who
no,
the hell
no,
is
it's
Michael
American
Dudikoff?
Ninja. American Ninja. Oh my
What is
God.
listening to me right now.
Yeah.
I'm a
There's
small-
a
Whenever
movie
everyone
series.
paused
I'm a small
to everyone
Victorian
pause to
boy.
movie
Google.
series.
Who is it? Michael Dudikoff? Who?
Michael Dudikoff.
Dudikoff.
Michael
Real person.
Dudikoff is the most stage
Oh,
name, What's his real name? Malcolm Forsyth.
As far as characters that we've had on shows that I would like to have the powers of, I don't know, man. I try to think about everything that goes along with the power as well, because like absolute power corrupts absolutely is very true.
Yeah.
Like, would you still care if you had the power? Like, well, fuck it, I've got this power. Doesn't matter anymore.
I absolutely know it would corrupt me within seconds.
I
know
I mean,
You ever see that movie Chronicle? While he's thinking.
No.
That's what would happen to me. It's just a kid. He gets sort of a couple of superhero powers and just he can't help himself, becomes evil because he's just powerful.
Have you ever seen the show Heroes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. I would be that. I would just
The
figure out how
entire
to-
show.
Yep, the entire show. Yeah,
It'd
that'd
be
be me.
Silo.
Yeah, I would take apart a watch and then be on.
And
be
just
held
start
back to
killing
over.
people. Just cutting people's heads off or whatever he was doing, getting their brains out.
Right?
You'd be
See how
Dr.
things work.
Mohinder Suresh.
That's right.
And
That'd
you
be
would
me.
turn into a giant spider for no reason in season 2. Does anyone remember? Dude, even I barely remember if
I
that
don't
was
even-
true or not, what I
I-
just said. But I think it is. I'm impressed. I pulled out the name Dr. Mohinder Suresh, and if that's
Yeah.
correct, let alone does he turn into a spider for no reason in season 2? I think he does. Why did that happen? Right, we go to Whack now for his
While
answer.
Whack is still figuring it out.
I still don't fucking know, man. Like I'm
It's also hard to
too
just
many
think of
things.
every character we've ever had.
Yeah.
Every
He's going through
show.
the Rolodex.
It's more along the lines of like I'm trying to think about all the consequences as well.
Honestly, I think if you gave me almost any character that's ever been on the shows just powers, I'd be just so happy. I would love to have just the most low-level superhero power would be fine with me. There was a show in the UK that was called I can't remember what it was called, but it was about a bunch of kids that they got superhero powers. One of them's powers was that he could just
It's
produce
Harry Potter.
he could produce a little bit of milk from his fingers. That's all he could do. You know what? I'll take it. Oh, I'm thirsty.
Yeah, sure.
It's all good. Great.
Honestly,
I will find a
it would
util- I will
probably
utilize it.
be it would
Misfits.
probably be like from Witchcraft and Wizardry, I think. I think that universe was probably the most I don't know. I think that would be I mean, they've got basically like fucking nuclear weapons in their hands with these fucking wands, but like
Yeah.
Is that not what it does?
I love Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe Rosie from fucking Witchcraft and Wizardry. She was actually happy all the time. Just happy.
Yeah, to be fair, if
Just
it comes
laughing again.
with
Character that
Everybody
just
said about
happy
laughing.
is an
Yeah.
ability, right? That's
Yeah,
an
yeah.
ability. I want that one.
yeah, if that's the
the power.
case, then we'll just go full cozy root. You know, I'll be a root ranger or whatever. It's I don't know. I don't understand how root works because I don't understand
I don't understand
anthropomorphic
character
animal
models.
stuff. We're running out of road here on the classes and powers abilities.
If only
things.
there was some way.
If only there
to
was
get
some
more
way to
questions
get
and
more
topics.
topics unlocked. Otherwise, we have to keep talking about it. Well, there is actually a sort of an additional part to this question that I think
Okay.
I'll allow through while our friends in the chat room consider whether they want to unlock the next topic. What system? This is just part of
If
Druidic
they actually,
Dwarfs.
want to keep Tablestory alive.
Oh my god. Druidic Dwarf also said and I think we did speak about this, but let's talk to Myth about it. What system or world would you love to live in if you could and survive? I guess TTRPG systems and worlds. Because D&D would be horrible, I think. It's just living in the medieval era, which I would
Yeah, I don't
hate to
think I
do,
would.
except everyone's got powers or they're an
Everyone's
owl
powers.
bear.
Everyone's a murder hobo.
There's
And
dragons.
That's cool.
This mimics would suck, dude. You're like, oh, can you pass me that pencil?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
Jesus
just
Christ.
never gonna go anywhere. I'll
Yeah.
stay
Oh,
home.
let me just have a little sip of my drink here. Ah, it's eating you up, fucking your face hugger.
Thanks.
It'd just be awful.
Uh,
D&D worlds. I don't know.
If there was any Spellwind, if there was any
Spellwind would be almost worse because it's D&D, but now there's just
yeah, right,
hazard
it's true.
wind.
It's almost worse. 'Cause there's just everybody has wild magic. What system would I
Cool
want to
setting.
live in, or setting would I want to live and survive in?
Yeah. It's Harry Potter again, isn't it? As much as I
Harry Potter.
fucking hate
Yeah,
Harry
Harry
Potter. Those like happy cozy universes where like there's one bad guy that has
Advantages
ever
here.
existed, you know, and like everyone else is just nice and is cozy and fun. They're like, oh no, I've dropped my pumpkin pie on the ground again. Hoobly dardly. Oh, it's back, thank God. And that's like that's the worst thing that happened to that person. You know,
Yep.
that's their number one trauma. Unless you're Harry
Yeah.
Potter, who just gets fucking annihilated by
Yeah,
those
I would
ghosts or whatever they are.
I would say like the the stuff in Identity Crisis and Halcyon Unbound, that's like worst case scenario because the city is getting destroyed every day.
Constantly,
you know,
yeah.
like,
just a kaiju, and then there's a
90% of the economy is just like construction.
Yeah.
Like they're just rebuilding skyscrapers.
You don't
every
want to live in
fucking
a
day.
comic book world.
No.
And it also,
Horrific.
the thing is, it's what would you like to live in? So you're not showing up in that world as Superman. You're showing up as you. You just got to continue being little old you. And now there's a kaiju outside because
Right.
you've chosen the world of Godzilla or something.
I mean, whatever it is, it's got to be probably dystopian with some sort of tyrannical government, because I know I could at least survive that.
I've been inoculated against that.
Hey,
We're
there's
still
still
not quite
time.
sure.
Yeah, we haven't. I don't know if we can actually rule that out yet.
Yeah, it's true. I would.
Tidal Blades is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just live in a. Just
live
oh,
in-
here we go, guys. I'm a frog. But then
The
you show up.
tropical-
Time is
yeah.
irreversible. And
Tropical climate, like everybody lives on the fucking beach.
Everyone's on a beach and they're riding,
I feel like
surfing on a
that would suck.
leaf. And you're like,
I'm
oh,
not
yeah,
huge
dude,
on.
this is
I'm not
the
huge
life.
into beach weather.
Are there humans in
would-
Tidal Blades though? There are.
Wherever there isn't humans.
Well, no, because I don't know if I would
Uh,
like to be the only human, and it's just like, oh god, do
What
I
a
have to?
world. Oh, God,
I have to fuck
almost
this
stepped on
frog
Frank
again.
Yeah.
Like, god damn it! All right.
That's got. I wish that could be the title of this episode. Non-effort. I have to fuck that frog again.
Oh god damn it! All right, come over here, Mrs. Ribbit.
How dare you use that emote? How dare
There it is. Grumpy frog,
what's-
come on.
dare you? I mean, as far as setting goes, it would probably be as weird as it is to say, because it falls under the same categories like the D&D shit. It's almost, it might be main character. And here's my reasoning. I like the idea
I made it up.
of leveling up and having not having your stats and shit like subtracted. You know, when you go to the gym and you feel yourself getting stronger, you go to the gym, you go regularly, you're losing weight, you're feeling strong, whatever, and then you hurt your back. You don't go for 2 weeks. It fucks up your whole schedule. You suddenly stop going to the gym. Oh, I gotta get back to the gym. Oh, I gotta get back to the gym. Oh, I gotta get back to the gym. Man, remember when I was going to the gym every day? I felt so great, right? I would love to live in a world where you don't fucking deteriorate.
Where there's no up.
yeah.
There's no
All right.
deteriorating.
You stay at
You-
level 3
you
with
stay-
750 XP.
Yes. I
Yeah.
put in the work once. I don't want to fucking do it again.
Yeah.
And having a number that you can see that's like, I am this good at that thing. Can I make it better or whatever? I'm putting effort into something and always making it better. It's never getting worse. That, to me,
Yeah.
is amazing. So as dangerous as that world is,
Yeah.
I feel like that would make my brain try as hard as humanly possible to succeed in that kind of a place, because I can just not go to the gym and I'm not gonna fucking lose my
You
Already
strength.
also
done.
get an
You've already
XP
done-
bar.
yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
you
Right.
if you just get dropped into D&D world, you might not be a wizard. You could just be a commoner for you might not be able to become an adventurer. Whereas you get dropped into main character, you can just start leveling up, and you will, even if you're a human. So it's a good shout, because you could just become powerful.
Brad and I have actually talked about this before. Like, if we got dropped into an isekai situation, I would fucking love it. As crazy as that sounds, and as deadly as the world probably is. And Brad phrased this like this, that he said, I would love to have a purpose.
Yeah, that's the thing. You're given a purpose, which you have one. You can't just be like, I think I'm just gonna play Marvel Snap all day again.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, I'm gonna go level up. I'm gonna kill
Gotta go do
one.
that
I'm gonna
thing.
kill one crab. 1 XP. Here we go.
Did it.
This is it. Yeah, it would be great. I dream about this kind of thing all the time.
It seems like an isekai though is the sort of question, right? That's the.
I think
I don't know what I'm saying,
because
like,
you would
that's
be
sort of like
given
the
the
answer
ability
of-
to level up.
Like if you were to live in a world where you sort of know your stats.
That'd be nice. Yeah.
I'm reading a book right now. This is cool. I'm reading a book right now called Mage Tank, and it's an isekai where a guy gets resurrected into an MMOs type world, and he's like,
Finally,
this?
Myth.
yeah, it's pretty
Myth is
He's
experiencing
basically
some
reading
anime
an anime
tropes.
now. Don't tell
Holy
him.
It's an
shit.
anime, but it's an anime trope.
It's a
Don't
big
tell him
deal.
it's an anime.
It's a
Don't
big
tell him it's an
deal.
anime. He doesn't know.
I know,
Look,
right?
even
It's-
this is
No,
revolutionary.
Ratch,
Ratch is running around.
Ratch, shut
Hold
up!
on.
Don't tell him. Don't tell him. This is like when you have to feed a kid. When you have to feed a kid vegetables, and you have to be like pretending it's like, it's here comes the plane. It's not.
Yep, yeah,
It's not vegetables. And that's
It's-
Myth
yeah, it's
right
a
now with
plane.
this book. He doesn't
Hey,
realize.
It's not
Huge.
anime. Yay,
Yeah.
gaga.
At the end of it, the final
uh,
line is like based on this anime that you.
Probably.
watch.
Yeah, that's probably what'll happen. It'll like at the end, it'll be like, haha, and I'll be like, oh.
I mean, it
okay,
is an anime, by the
um,
way, just so you know. It's 100% what you're reading. It's called
well,
Mage Tank.
I'm
I mean,
installing it, right? No.
Mage Tank in another world.
Yep, I've uninstalled it. Anyway, I was reading a book called Mage Tank, and there was a. It doesn't matter. I don't have anything. It's just there was explaining what you were saying, or it was talking about what you were talking about. I just don't have. I'm floundering because I don't have an answer of what system or setting would I want to live in. I would like. There is, of course. I'm curious about D&D, but then I think about mimics, and I don't want to do D&D. I don't. Or
Mimics
even,
is
like,
my number
Forgotten
one
Realms, right?
reason to not do D&D.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and just yeah, no. I don't know. I like there are tons of yeah, it's maybe something sci-fi, like maybe like I'm thinking about Traveler. I've got Traveler later, so maybe that's on my mind, but like cuz like going and exploring something that you can explore and like going to
We're
planet to
basically in a
planet and learning
cyberpunk
new...
dystopia without the cool shit.
What do you mean right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We're sort of in there, but we don't have. It's yeah.
We're
And-
missing
and,
all
like,
of the cool
it's-
shit.
We're missing all the cool shit. Yeah. All the cool shit is paywalled. And but yeah, I don't know. Like something where I would be able to explore and learn new cultures, new things. I mean, I can do that in real life, but I mean like. That's boring. But like I don't know, fly a spaceship, things like that. I don't.
You want it to be
Maybe
Star Wars if it's
sci-fi.
going to be sci-fi, because in Star Wars,
That's
for
true, 'cause
some
it's-
reason,
yeah, 'cause
everyone
it's
knows
just
how to
space
like build
magic.
ships and stuff. So
Right.
you don't have to do like if you were in the Expanse, it'd be horrible. If you were in Star Wars, you load into this world and you're like, for some reason, I think I can
That's true.
fucking
This is horrific.
yeah,
which is
awful.
the most real. I think,
worst.
How
sci-fi
many
will be.
people are on
Yeah.
Earth in that? Like
Yes.
26 billion or some shit?
Yeah, and it's
No.
just because it's all based on real life. But Star
not gonna
Wars,
happen.
you can, if you just find a box of bolts, you have a starship now. And also, you just spend a
True.
day building it, and you have a starship, and
that's
you
it.
just fly around in it.
It's
Because
episodic.
everyone, for some
life will
reason,
be
can fix
episodic.
their ships like it. They're not way more complex than a car. No idea.
Yeah.
No idea whatsoever.
Yeah, I would have said like something like Cypher System or Numenera, but now that I've experienced Simulacrum, I don't think I want to. Do one of those. The yeah, it's hard.
I
It's,
didn't
there's
realize
so
that
many
was going to be a
cool ones,
horror. That was going to be a horror show until like halfway through, I think.
right? And you went, wait a minute. Oh, well, I think when it was like, and you can't get out, that was sort of where it got weird and scary for us. But yeah, it's hard. I don't have an answer, man. I wish I could milk this topic more.
Yeah, you've got to because we're still
yeah,
on
I
it.
used to have to.
I have no
Even though
more
I have
extension.
answers for the
I have no
next
more
question.
extension questions. So if you could
Yeah.
keep milking, I don't know what happened to the little things that tell you when we're at the thing, but if you can get,
Notches?
dead
yeah,
end.
it just turned off. If I click the reset button, it will reset the whole bar. So we just have to. You
Oh,
guys,
no, don't reset it.
If you go, well, reset it to 0, and we'd have to talk about
these things again.
first.
Yeah, we got to
again.
start from the beginning.
No, thank you for the tips, everyone. We appreciate the
Star
tips. I know
Wars.
it's like
I think, yeah.
it's one of those.
40K,
shows.
I think, it would be
40K
the best.
is the answer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude, for sure.
I would be an orc in 40K because
Ooh.
whatever you believe,
I don't
That's
think
true.
any of them are good.
That would be the worst possible thing for me because it just means that like all of my anxieties would
fight.
just manifest into
Oh, yeah.
reality around me at all times, and it would be
hell no, right?
just horrible.
No,
My
right.
intrusive
Mine's Call of
thoughts.
Cthulhu.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where I would probably excel.
Yeah, you don't want to be in any of those.
Non-heroic
You
game
don't,
where
you don't want to
every
be
game's a
in, you don't want to be in
tragedy.
those
Yep.
kinds of things like facade and like VTMs and stuff because you're just adding
Yeah.
things that you can't see around
Mergs
you.
would be VTM for sure.
But Mergs is an absolute fuck up of a person, and she, dude, the way that her
Oh my god.
her relationship with monsters and villains is wrong. Okay, and it isn't something that we should be applauding or supporting. Okay, she's messed up and she needs therapy, and you're all making a joke out of it. Okay, and I'm actually truly her only friend. Yeah, no, she'd be in there straight away. It would be unbelievable.
It'd be unbelievable.
It'd be unbelievable the way she would just like, you know, like how Goku would put 2 fingers to his head and then teleport across the world. That would be her
Transmission.
straight into the
Mhm.
worst vampire's house
Myth
in
knows
VTM.
exactly what we're talking
Oh,
about.
I know
She would
exactly.
be- she
No, I
would
know
lit-
Dragon Ball Z. 'Cause it's not
Straight
anime.
teleport straight into the worst vampire in all of VTM that's ever been made. It straight into that guy's bedroom and be like, "Sire me,
Here.
sire me now." Unbelievable. All right. Well, I
I
guess.
wish I had a better answer.
I
This
guess.
show's over now.
All right. Well, I guess.
Maybe we'll be on next week with shows.
I guess maybe.
Maybe
but,
we'll
I
do
mean,
side quest next.
unfortunately, I don't know if that is actually the case, because I don't think we can afford to be on next week with shows. I don't know if we can afford the programming. PB wouldn't allow us to do this, by the way, if she was here.
Oh, hey guys, stop!
She
Don't
would
guilt them.
not allow it at all.
No.
I think we did it. I think we guilted. Yes, Void Smoker
we?
came in.
Nice. The vibes,
Thank
Monkey.
you for the
Yeah.
gift. Tip.
Thank you so much, Void
appreciate it.
Smoker.
Thanks, buddy.
We love
Oh,
you.
new
Also,
question.
everyone else, we do appreciate it. I know that it's like not the greatest incentive compared to like Don't Die, where you get like a wheel spin and the floor is lava. But you know, it's called non-effort. So please
That's us.
reward us with something that took you your entire week's worth of work effort. What is this question?
Yay, thank you.
Essential known character traits.
I
What does this mean?
don't know what it means.
Listen, Brad was in a fever dream when he was
Yeah.
throwing this shit
Uh-huh.
together.
I really had to spam this all together this morning. Here it is. I got it. It's because it was the second part of a question that we answered
Which
a
we
while
already
ago.
answered.
Yeah, PB and
So
J
let's-
Lee, who is borderline table story employee, said this was part of the same question that they asked before about how to craft a good villain, but to the sort of second part of that was, what are the essential things that you personally must know about your character before you start playing them in a show? Which a little bit touches on what I think Wack said earlier on, where he was like, as long as you know their vibe, you're good. You don't need a pages and
Yeah.
pages
Well,
and pages of backstory
me.
thing.
Yeah, go back
That's what I
to
said,
20
yeah,
minutes
yeah.
in. Next question. Oh, we
So,
can't.
yeah,
answer
so we
that.
go-
Like, come on,
No,
Chad.
no. That's not what I mean, because I don't think
Yeah.
we answered this though. What are the essential
Right.
things that you personally must know about your character before you start playing them in a show? Is the question.
I'll start. Okay, so for me, the essential traits are
This is a
what
show,
their
right?
motivations are.
Yeah.
I need to know what their motivations are. That's because that will determine all the things they do, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like, why are they on a quest? You know, why are they out? What are they doing? And then that will help build just about everything for the character. So using Smith as an example, the session 0 basically with everybody was we were kind of talking about like, okay, who's on the Anton side, who's
This is Spellwind, by the way. Smith is an artificer from Spellwind.
We need Myth to be on this every week so that he can do that when we just
Make
chat.
references.
or and who's going to be on the God Emperor side. And when we did that, we said we were talking about like, okay, let's do the groups. Let's have we're gonna have Smith and Varsha on this side, and we're gonna have Ty and Jet on this side. And why are they there? What are their motivations? That's the foundation for everything.
Yep.
Why are they there? What are their motivations for everything? That determines the entirety of the character, pretty much. So it is going to be, for Smith, it was effectively his motivation was that he was trying to teach Varsha. That was his main motivation. And he was trying to effectively teach Varsha like she was his daughter. How would he want to raise his daughter? And that develops over the course of the show, pretty much. And I kind of made all my decisions based on that. And it was a thing where he saw where things were going and how he didn't want Varsha to turn out like him. And how could he change so that he could teach Varsha to be better than he was? That was pretty much the entirety of his motivation. So when he had the opportunity to change, he saw that window as being, hey, she's shown him this side of herself. He knows she's not the same already, and how can he help her more? And then as he was doing that, he found his happiness as time went on. And that's how the character, I think, evolved over time.
Yeah, and knowing the story and like, of course, being there, but I mean, like watching the story as and like remembering how the story went and also the points of where the character Smith went, it makes so much sense that was the like seed of the motivation and that story seed that you held on to sort of guide where that narrative plant was growing, which is super cool.
Sorry, Myth. The question was actually, what are the essential things that you personally must know about your character before you start playing them in a show?
Right, exactly. I was just trying to fill some air.
We actually need to bang through these now because we just got two
did?
big tips from Voice
Oh,
Cast. So we need some. These are actually quick fire
Nothing matters.
because we're actually
really.
running out of time on the.
Got it. Oh, yikes.
Thank
Okay.
you for the tips, everybody. We really appreciate it.
really
It's
do.
actually helped keeping Tablestory running for
Genuinely, the only thing keeping the entire channel afloat.
Is on me.
PB
It's me,
really drilled into us how much we need to guilt trip everybody before.
She was like, just make it just an emotional, just absolute.
yes. You know what? I won't even be there. I'll call out and you can just be.
Yeah.
So you can guilt trip and it'll.
Tell them that I need money for a medication. All right. Yeah.
They'll understand. What was the question? What do we need to know before we?
Yeah.
Like,
What
what are
things do you
essential-
need
what
to
do we
know
need to
about your character before you start playing them in a show?
In a show, what is going to make them different than another one of these characters?
Different stat. Different. You have to have a different. You can't have two people with the same main stat.
That's true, right? You can't have two charisma. That's right.
The crash out that Orcish
you can't
had.
have a charisma sorcerer and a charisma bard.
I can't wait
Uh,
to release the character creation session 0 for
and-
side quests, so you can all see the Orcish crash out based because he was like, we can't both be the charisma based characters, and it was an hour of that.
Uh-huh.
It was unbelievable. That's not the reason it hasn't been released, by the way, but it is.
There is a darker reason.
I've never seen anything like that in
beautiful.
my life. Which is why,
please,
Myth, you
I was
are.
just gonna answer the question. and
Go
you-
for it. Yeah. The question, actually, Myth, if you wouldn't mind fucking answering it, we have got a time limit
Yeah,
now.
I know. We
Is
have no time.
what are the essential things you must
Yes.
know about your character before you play them?
What I shouldn't like know. What is going to make them differentiate? Like, because in side quest, which is story on Tuesdays, we just started it. So if you're coming in going, wow, this is cool, DMs, a bunch of DMs talking. What is not effort? This is great. I've never been here before. Tuesday, we have new show. It just started.
The two best people on the
anyway.
screen are in it.
That's right. Whack and I, and the Whack's going to be DMing it next week.
Whack will actually be DMing side quests from now on.
you guys traded mid show. The
Could be a
What I
side quest
think
of a
is-
side quest of a side quest.
the side quest, exactly, with the main character.
Sorry, the question,
I can't
Myth.
do it on me.
Actually, Myth, the question was, what are the essential things you must know about your character before you start
Okay,
playing?
yeah,
them
we
in
are
the
getting
show?
close to me running out of meds. Yeah, it's my Adderall.
He's got a little med bar on the side of his.
It's blinking. Beep, beep,
The
beep, beep.
fidgeting
That's why he
is
turns his
increased
head off all the
and-
time because he
exactly,
can't stand that shit.
It's like an oxygen bar in Dead
Exactly,
Space.
it's too
right?
distracting. Yeah, exactly.
All right.
What makes a character different? Like in side quest, what makes my gnome sorcerer different than another gnome sorcerer? What makes my, because it's a show, right? So if I was playing D&D, I wanted to, like, at a table for me and my friends, it's sort of like, okay, how are we gonna get this group to synergize? It'll be fun for all of us. But when it's a show, I like to think about the motivation, obviously, but a different answer. That isn't just piggybacking on that, but motivation, yes, but also what separates that character from another, like I said, another gnome or another halfling sorcerer. I'm getting mixing this up. Another halfling sorcerer.
Well, that's what
Um,
makes your gnome sorcerer different, is that he's actually a halfling.
He's actually a halfling, right? Exactly.
You're doing really
so-
well with that so far.
See, and that's exactly it. As I just went, oh, okay, he'll just be a halfling instead, and that's how my gnome is exactly. Yeah, how to make.
We get him some med.
How does your character separate then? How do you separate your character from another character?
See, like I was
From another character of the same. I've
bottle of
distracted
supplements.
myself.
Yeah. Ratch, can you?
I've hyper focused on an answer, and now
Ratch
I'm-
shows up with a pill ball and just starts like fucking
Yeah, just
pops the cap.
Please,
60.
please, I am falling asleep.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing, I'm the same way. Like, it's just motivation. You need to know their motivation because I need to know what they are going to react to situations like. You know, if I don't know their motivation, then I'm just like, I don't care or know about. Anything could happen, and then just the way they react is going to be random.
Do you try and focus on simple motivations, or do you have like a really specific one and everything else branches off of that, or do you think
Depends
it
on the
changes
show.
based on the character and show?
The show, it depends on the show and the character. Like, the thing is, like, Ty, his motivation was just kill them all. Fuck, these people took my life from me by killing my parents in a fire. And so I'm already dead. He's like, I'm a dead man. My life is gone. It was taken from me. The life I should have lived. So I'm just going to seek vengeance. He just became a weapon. He was like, hey, Lorcan, train me into something that can kill the God King. And so that was his whole motivation. So then his character arc is like, you're not just a sword, be a human being. You can live your own life. You fall in love. You can have kids and all that.
Thank
But
you so
then-
much for making all these Spellwind references.
Yeah, it's the only game we talk about on this
Thank
show.
you. Yeah,
It's called non-effort, and you didn't put any in to Spellwind. So,
Jesus.
he's gonna believe that as
That's
well.
why
Instead of,
I got a bunch of DMs to actually play in it. Because like, guys,
yeah,
help me.
just
out.
do it. You can just do
You
this
all
for
do
me
it.
instead.
Yeah, you all
Um,
do it.
See ya.
And we're live, I think.
And we're
Okay,
live.
cool.
See you.
Yep.
And but then I think about. sometimes it's a bit like the intelligence thing we were talking about before. Like if I'm playing a dumb character, I really don't have to prepare as much, kinda.
Right.
I'm just like, you're dumb, I don't need to. But then you give me a character like Blake in Gone, who was a geologist. I had to learn a bit of geology. I studied for that almost every week.
Right.
In that this character will process everything through a very different lens than the way I do in real life. He's extremely logical. I'm not illogical, but he's extremely logical. And his first thing, he gets like put into this weird scenario and he's like, well, I'm going to figure out if this is even the planet that we're on, because I'm going to pick some stones up and look at them and be like, well, this isn't correct, and figure it out that way. You know, and I don't know how to do that, so I don't know how to role play that. So I had to learn geology.
I have a sub question with that.
Yeah.
With that in mind, you
Is there a Dom question to follow?
yeah, I was debating on making that punchline. The when you make a character, do you make a character, and this goes to both of you, do you make a character that you are comfortable and want to sort of figure out, or do you make a character, is there with aspects you want to explore, or do you make characters that you want to learn something new about, like geology? Did you ever have an interest in geology?
No, couldn't care
or
less.
were you just like, no, I made this character a geologist, and then now you've found yourself looking up geology terms for the evening? Or did you have an interest one time when you were a kid and want to be a geologist, and then now you're like, I actually kind of want to explore this?
No.
Like, is there...
I don't care about geology.
Do you ever make characters that
at
you
all.
do exploration with?
Yeah.
About you? Or I guess Ty was that way too. Was
Well,
more about-
sometimes there's two things I go into it with, and it is,
Right.
what is the opposite of what I last played for a long time? What's the opposite character of who I just played in the last thing I was in? You know, so if I'm like playing Blake, who's a geologist, the next character I'm going to play is Ty, because he's me,
Yeah.
you know. But also sometimes it's, how much effort am I willing to put in because of something else going on? Like if this show is going to be on while I'm running two shows, I know that that's going to be really hard on me brain power wise if I have to play a really complex, really difficult, highly intelligent character that I have to do geology study for every week. And if I know that I'm not going to have that kind of like mental capacity, I'm just going to butcher and ruin that character and then ruin that person's show. I don't want to play them, so sometimes I will just be like, I think I'll play a little bit more of a simple character who I know that I can just like get into character with like that, because they're not super complex or something. Like I played a therapist as well in a group therapist in Cerebrum Project, and that was quite hard because I had to like, I've done enough therapy to be able to role play a therapist, but I'm not a therapist, so I had to like really like brush up on terms, and I've never done group therapy, so I was like, I had to look into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you had to do some.
And it's like, it's hard to do, you know, and you're like, this is actually, it starts bordering on legitimate acting, because you're playing a role that is not you at all, and you're drawing less from your own life experience and your own improv ability, and more just like, I need to know what an actual licensed therapist would say or do in this situation. I need to know what what's the difference between sedimentary rock and like volcanic or whatever.
You could have just gone, well, I'm going to make a geology check because it's on my character sheet.
Yeah. I can't do that. I can never do that. If that's another thing, I guess, if you said to me, you're going to be playing a geologist in this, which is, I think, kind of what happened with Cerebrum.
Pressure to know what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't want to just be like, I make a geology check. Did I get it right? What's the answer, GM? Because now the GM has to be like, the answer is this or whatever.
That's the way that 99% of people play.
Yeah, I know. That's how a lot of people
Yeah.
play. I refuse. And my character will know the answer. If I don't know it, I'm Googling it.
Here.
While the play is happening, I'm over here on another screen, and PB's like, okay, you look down at the ground and you pick up these rocks. One of them is this thing, and one of them is this. And I'm like,
Igneous
oh,
sediment.
Feldspar? Oh, that's Feldspar.
so that was actually, wait, that means that this was made over 1 million years ago, you know, whatever. So you're just like, okay, well, if it's
Everybody
1 million years
flash
old,
back to
then
high school earth science, where you're like, this is the only time I'm going to ever need this information.
yeah, I didn't pass, so I don't know. I didn't do any of that stuff. I didn't go to school.
Yeah. Oh, right, yeah.
I was in the workhouses at 12.
Yeah, you grew up with Fagin.
Yeah. So I didn't. Yeah. So that's it for me. Like
Artful Dodger.
I generally either try and play something that's very different to the last character I played, just to give myself something different to do, or it'll be based on like, do I want to play something that's as in complex as this? Because it's fun to do. That's the thing. It's fun to challenge yourself in that way, I think, and play those characters, but it's way more difficult. There were points with Blake where I just felt like I was making an idiot of myself. Because the other thing is as well, is it's a show and there are people in the chat room who actually know about the different types of rocks. And I'm just like, oh, it's a rock. And they're like, this guy's supposed to be like a hyper intelligent, one of the world's best geologists. And he just said, insert.
And he said rock?
He said,
Are you
he called
saying
it a
that you
rock.
are not a world famous physicist and you're running a sci-fi show?
Exactly that.
What is
So that kind of pressure is something that I take into account. All right.
I'm kind of, so I'll just answer quickly. I'm kind of the same way. I just want to play a character that I probably haven't played before. I like to roll my stats right away. I don't like coming up with a character idea and then rolling stats.
Agreed.
Because
stats for sure. If you have to roll stats, you've got to do them first.
Yeah, because there's people that would argue like, hey, this is an impediment for the character. I'm like, yeah, but they know they've lived with their stats their whole life. Like they've been struggling in
That's
wisdom
true.
or whatever for their
Yeah.
whole life. So like they've had to evolve based on that. It's not like they
fair.
can
I
still have
never even thought of that.
aspirations.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for me, I like to roll stats, and then I will also try to challenge myself and play something I haven't played before. But ultimately, it just got to sound fun. It's just got to sound fun in my head when I'm like, what could I play? I haven't played this. I haven't played that. Do I want to play that?
Yeah.
No.
Is there a reason? Isn't that is an interesting point? Because I get to that sometimes where I'm like, what's the reason I haven't played that class? I don't want it.
Yeah, you don't want to.
I actually don't want it.
It's like, oh no, I don't want to play a champion fighter because they don't have any. It's just I'm just rolling the dice. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, I don't want to do that this time.
I think I've
Sounds
ever
boring.
played a fighter.
I
Fighters
love a
are-
fighter.
Now
Fighters
should.
are good. Fighters are
I
fun.
love a fighter,
Especially
but a
Battlemaster
champion
fighter.
fighter is literally designed for. You've never played D&D before. Here's a
Right.
character sheet
Right,
and the
yeah.
most simple introduction, and I think it can be brutal
And for
on someone
multi-classing.
Yeah.
who knows
pretty
the
much.
rules
I think
of
it's just
it.
because it's called a fighter, and I'm like, that sounds like everything else is a cool
Fighters,
name.
the
but fighter's
fighters are
fighter.
fucking dope as shit.
Vacation in a TS setting.
Let's go. Okay, so
Yeah.
it's very similar to the question that we asked earlier on, so we can quick fire it. But this is if you could take a vacation anywhere in Tablestory's worlds, where would you go? Assuming that you wouldn't get eaten by a Tarrasque. So, it's a
Easy.
vacation. You're not going to get eaten. You're not going to get killed or anything like that.
Easy.
Okay, it's a vacation.
You're just like
and
going
everybody
there and
knows that
looking
nothing bad
around, and
happens on
it's
vacation.
fun. Yeah, you
Okay.
go there for fun time, and then you come home and you're safe. Wax it easy. Go on.
Easy. Main character. Stella made a
Oh, yeah.
fairy smutland.
Yeah.
That's where you go.
I mean,
See ya.
no question. Yeah, send me there.
Yeah, I mean, for
Easy.
me,
Going.
easy answer. Tidal blade, so I could fuck a frog. I mean, just easy. No doubt about it. Obviously, that's where I would go.
Yeah, rapid fire. Go, Myth, you're up. We're just leaving it there. I am. There's so many good ones. Nibiru. I think that'd be really cool. I would really like to see. Yeah, I think it would be really cool to spend some time in a world that is not carbon based.
Yeah. Well. Okay. Yeah.
Whoa!
Fucking
Shocking.
weird, dude. You're a weird guy.
I mean, it's
All right,
dark.
we're
I'm
gonna
used
get
to it.
out of here. There is a 50-50 shot that these credits roll here.
Wait. There's another question. Oh, never mind. We've already answered that question before. Never mind. The bonus question. We've already answered it. You have to
There
dig
is
through
another
the
question. How do you know?
Annals of Spellwind to find it.
The annals.
What? Oh, the last question. Well, we didn't reach it. We didn't unlock the topic.
Oh, I know.
Oh.
I was just late to the guilt game. Sorry.
Oh, I see. Well, we also have to get you out of here. So
Right, that's true.
we got to get you out of here because it's time to end they have until the time limit, which is
We have
now.
until my meds run out, and it's getting there.
And it's right now. We have less than 60 seconds, and in that time, we got to tell everyone who you are and where they can find you, Myth. Since everyone here is probably sick of seeing me and Wag, what's going on in your life? What you got going on? What are you up to?
Hi everyone. Hi, I'm Mythematic. You could see me later over on Trooper SJP's channel where we do Traveler on Fridays. I'm playing as he's a clone of an Imperial Duke. He's sort of a fake it till you make it type guy where he is faking the fact that he's actually a noble. He's kind of a piece of shit. It's a lot of fun. We're pirates. It's awesome. Come play. Come see. It's over on Trooper SJP. I also have started the Gas Giants, which are a refueling organization in Star Citizen. So if you are finding yourself in trouble with the new gas bug, because if you run out of fuel randomly in Star Citizen these days, you're just sort of stranded because there's a fuel bug. But Gas Giants are there to help. You can go to gasgiants.org, and we have a ticket system in our Discord where you can get one of our org mates to come and help you out. I will probably be streaming again soon. I'm doing, you guessed it, another rebrand, and figuring out different things.
You can't be doing
right
a
now.
rebrand in the middle of one of my shows, bro.
No, I'm not going to change my name.
Okay, thank God.
It's not one of those. It's
Never
like an
again.
artistic change.
Okay, thank God.
And then,
Yeah, just a symbol.
Yeah.
it's just, exactly. I'm going to change my name to a symbol. And I'm trying to figure out what that symbol is going to be.
For a piece of artwork.
I don't know if I want mutton chops or my mustache. I don't know where we're going.
He's changed
But
his
anyway,
name to a
it's-
copyrightable, DMCA-able entire Rihanna song that just plays
Yeah, I'm it's going to be a Rude Boy. I'm going to be
in full. Yeah.
I am rebranding to Rude Boy. Or Umbrella Ella. I don't know yet. That's the issue I'm having. Anyway, I do blacksmithing stuff as well. I'm probably going to start doing more blacksmithing streams. I've been bit by the anvil again, so I will start up some of the forge soon, and we can start doing some like creative blacksmithing anvil streams and stuff. But on the side, if you get stuck out in Star Citizen, one of our guys will come get you. That's it. I don't know. There's a lot of weird shit I'm doing all the time, and I'm an ideas guy, but never a get it finished guy. So, ladies, that's another quote.
Cool. That's credits. Let me just see if this
Yep.
will actually run. It's 50-50 shot. This is going to run because I have not set up non-effort correctly, and I forgot about the credits.
It's almost better if they don't run.
Yeah, I mean, previously
This is the guilt credits.
it took about like a minute before they would
Fine,
kick in.
guys.
Before there they go. They're actually going. Oh, it's the non-canon credits. That's fine. That works because I think it will still come up with
no
the people. The key is that I want people's names to come up who contributed to the stream either with subs or tips tonight. Everyone else who's in here watching, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Everyone that contributed. In terms of some sort of financial, monetary contribution, didn't do it. Didn't even come up with the names. Cool, great. Didn't work.
That.
Non-effort, baby. I'm not putting more effort into it than this. We appreciate you either way. Thank you so much for watching the stream and supporting Tablestory. If you want to support us further, you can watch other shows such as what's next? Deathless on Sunday. We've got
Side quest.
on Tuesdays, that's new. Then main character on Thursdays. And hopefully Don't Die will be back next week if PB doesn't die between now and then. Which is on the cards. So someone keep an eye on her because she is floating away on those muscle relaxants. We appreciate you watching the stream and supporting us. Thank you very much. Please go and follow Mythematic everywhere. Also follow Trooper SJP on his channel for a show that starts in 2 hours. He's a lovely boy.
That's right.
He's a lovely boy and we love him at Tablestory. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and weekend. We'll see you on Sunday for Deathless. Hopefully, if there's any change to that, keep an eye on the Discord for shout outs and stuff. Or just show up and it won't be here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Love you. Bye. Love you. Bye. Love you. Bye. Love you. Bye.
Thank you.